What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
7WS. Chapter 151. Advertise here. I didn't mean to let Eisen join Marine. The battle for the top was not to help the Whitebeard group. But what Zephyr asked for, let Sengoku of Buddha bring 3 Admiral to greet him at the port, making him feel the enthusiasm of naval headquarters. In the eyes of Buddha Sengoku, this is a fuss. After Akainu found out, he became even more angry. Did Zephyr feel dizzy? A person with illusion fruit ability is qualified to let naval headquarters do it like this. That Eisen Sosuke, what does he think he is human? At last, Zephyr's warship is back. Eisen, everyone at naval headquarters is very enthusiastic. After they know you are coming as a guest, everyone is very happy. Even Marshal Sengoku said that he would welcome you personally. Zephyr smiled at Eisen Sosuke. However, when the warship arrived at the naval headquarters port, only a group of marine soldiers in maintenance were seen. What Marshal Marine? Not even the Lieutenant General saw one. Snapped. Zephyr felt his cheek hurt a lot. He looked at Eisen awkwardly, and didn't know what to say for a while. Nothing. Eisen also showed no anger at all and shrugged. Call Zephyr even more emotional, there are too few people like this in the sea. Go. They don't welcome you, Uncle Zephyr welcomes you. Pulling Eisen's hand is pulling him into naval headquarters. Ain, Bins followed behind. After Zephyr personally arranged Eisen's residence. You stay here first, I'll leave first if I have something to do. Bins, Ain, he is our guest, you are here to help. It directly threw his 2 favorite disciples, Ain and Bins here. Then Zephyr angrily walked towards the temporary office of the Buddha Sengoku. Soul King, can you hear me? Eisen began to clean up the room gently, and at the same time began to contact Chen Tian. Of course, Chen Tian knew that Eisen wanted to show it to himself. In the end, is he qualified to become an agent of Hueco Mundo? What Eisen wants to do, Chen Tian is also curious. Let Tusen Konami cooperate with me, I think. Eisen announced his plan. Chen Tian nodded, agreed directly, snapped his fingers lightly, and Tusen Konami appeared in front of him. In front of the Spirit King. Tusen Konami also knelt on one knee under this majestic Reiatsu, under the pressure of the soul, and obeyed. Naval headquarters here. Zephyr directly scolded the Buddha Sengoku in the temporary office. Sengoku, what's the matter with you? I didn't want you to be greeted at the port. Eisen Sosuke, this is an absolute talent. If you become a pirate and fall into the hands of the revolutionary army, it would be too. And the Buddha Sengoku also roared, read more at mtlarchive.com. What's the joke, how can I say that I am also the Marshal of Naval Headquarters, can I do this casually? Even Akainu is on Sengoku's side. The position of the Marshal is supreme. It's not just anyone who deserves to be met by the Marshal personally. His tone is even more angry than Sengoku. Perhaps. Marshal Marine, this is his dream job. In Akainu's view, this position is above all else. I scolded all morning. At last, the naval headquarters siren sounded. What's going on here? The look of Buddha Sengoku and others could not help but change. Marine immediately came to report. A battle is taking place on the island in front of naval headquarters. It is suspected of a revolutionary army. Another person, unidentified, is too fast to see it temporarily. What? Revolutionary army? The Buddha Sengoku and others looked at each other. When such a thing happened, where can the quarrel continue? Kizaru, Aokiji, go and have a look. Sengoku, the Buddha, was afraid of the strategy of hitting the west, so he directly ordered Kizaru and Aokiji to attack. Akainu. He noticed that Sengoku reused Kuzan intentionally or unintentionally, hoping that Kuzan would get more and more credit. Become the next Marine Marshal. Aokiji, Kizaru nodded. At this moment, Zephyr thought of something and said, I will also take Eisen, and then you will understand what kind of talent this is. The voice fell, Zephyr turned and left. I found Eisen directly. Except for Eisen, Bins only loves. Marine in naval headquarters does not pay attention to Eisen. Eisen has no complaints about this, Ain, Bins did not expect that there is such a broad-minded man above the sea. Now Zephyr is back. Eisen, Ain, Bins, something has happened, come with me. Eisen is not part of Marine. But he still said, Mr. Zephyr, I will go with you, hoping to use another gentle means to resolve all disputes. Arrived at the port, Kizaru, Aokiji and the other lieutenants, Marine soldiers, are already on it. When Eisen came, Kizaru, Aokiji and others also looked at Eisen carefully. You know, Kizaru, Aokiji, etc., who were once Zephyr disciples, are now called Teacher Zephyr. The teacher's gaze is stern. In his eyes, it seems that a real good seed has never appeared. I have never complimented a person with that kind of vocabulary or sentence. And this man named Eisen Sosuke, but Teacher Zephyr gave him praise. This is really a magical thing. The warship headed towards the island. On the warship, Aokiji and Eisen began to talk. The time is short, but after the conversation, Aokiji's mouth had a slight smile, as if he was infected by Eisen. In the end, Aokiji said, if a man like you appeared in the sea earlier, there might not be so many disputes. This sentence was heard by Kizaru and other Marines, and their eyes widened one by one. Do you want such an exaggeration? At last, close to the island. Boom. He is also suppressed by the enemy now. You know, the commander of the Revolutionary Army has the lowest strength and cannot be subordinate to the lieutenant general. If he is high, he can temporarily rival admiral. When Kizaru, Aokiji, and Zephyr waited for a while and couldn't make up their minds, thinking about whether to ask Sengoku of the Buddha. And the clothes he wears are death. Kizaru, Aokiji and others stared. Headed by the commander of the Western Army of the Revolutionary Army, Mori. No, you don't know the horror of Gotei 13. What should I do now? Eisen's figure has already moved towards the island in a very fast speed. And it's a captain-type death tyrant outfit. Stop fighting. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. But Eisen didn't care, the speed was so fast, he was already standing between the Revolutionary Army and Tusen Konami. Chew on. Now, Aokiji waited to take a look, and gradually saw clearly that the other party had brown skin, rare purple hair, and was wearing goggles. On the island, a group of revolutionary soldiers are retreating steadily. Who can suppress them to such a point? Seireitei, Gotei 13, is there again? Zephyr shouted. Chapter 152. Advertise here. Zephyr was worried. The captain of Gotei 13 is basically abnormal. If you don't take sacrifices, it is impossible to defeat these captains. The commander of the Revolutionary Army, with a few people, was beaten back and forth. There is no doubt that this captain of Gotei 13 is not simple. Why? Eisen just rushed up like this. For peace, he is willing to give himself. Zephyr understood something, standing on the warship, muttering. Such a spirit. Zephyr also has it, but it just became hesitant now. Aokiji, Kizaru, and a group of marines are silent now. Give your life for peace. They think they can do it too, but they must hesitate for a while before making this decision. However, Eisen doesn't. Can you stop? Standing there, Eisen didn't seem to know Tusen Konami, so she spoke with a heartfelt word. Judging from his appearance, she really didn't want the two sides to fight. Tusen Konami ignored it, just said, since you want to stop me, then even you. Tusen Konami shot. Zanpakuto went directly to Eisen. People in the Revolutionary Army didn't expect this guy who got off the marine warship to help themselves. Right now, quickly get away. Mori pushed Eisen away. At the same time, it avoided Tusen Konami's slash. Under the slash, the island collapsed. At this moment, Mori also revealed a flaw, with his back facing Tusen Konami. Tusen Konami did not show any mercy. Shinigami. Kendo is good. Now, just cut it up. Looking at this scene, the rest of the Revolutionary Army knew that they were too late to attack and rescue. Mori didn't have time to react at all. The Marines on the warship watching this scene didn't know what it was. It was very complicated. After all, the Marine and the Revolutionary Army had a hostile relationship. At this time, be careful. What people didn't expect was that Eisen flew up at this moment. Blood dripping. Mori's eyes widened. It's only the first time I met, why can this person block this cut for himself? You know, in the Revolutionary Army, it is very difficult for people who have just met but who have the same dream to do this. At this time, Tusen Konami also spoke appropriately. Why? Read more at mtlarchive.com. Eisen gritted his teeth, on the gentle face, without losing the firmness, because, I hope that this world can be more tolerant, smile, and live, and stop killing like this. Mori was moved. This is also the dream of the Revolutionary Army. This guy should belong to the Revolutionary Army. Eisen, looking at the scene before him, Zephyr shouted that the talent he valued was actually injured. Mr. Eisen, Aokiji also said, and at the same time he shot directly, several ice spears, directly facing Tusen Konami. Kizaru glanced at Mori. Under the sunglasses, his eyes were complicated, and he finally shot, turning into a light. Zephyr, Aokiji and Kizaru shot at the same time. The momentum is unstoppable. Tweet. Suzumushi. At this moment, Tusen Konami also started Zanpakuto's Shikai. The Zanpakuto was originally the relic of a friend of Tusen Konami. After the death of the owner, Zanpakuto lost its special abilities. After Tusen Konami acquired this Zanpakuto, he injected his own Reiatsu into Zanpakuto, giving the Zanpakuto new abilities suitable for the use of Tusen Konami. And this Zanpakuto is the only Zanpakuto that can both Bankai and return the blade. From this point of view, Tusen Konami's Zanpakuto is actually very special. Chen Tian of the Spirit Palace looked at this scene through the boundary wall and found that the people here are already under Kyoka Suigetsu, and the blood behind Eisen at this moment is simply fake. Kyoka Suigetsu's phantom, far above Sharingan who endured the world. Chen Tian sat on the seat of the Spirit King at this moment, and continued to look up. Looking at it, Tusen Konami's Zanpakuto, as Aokiji, Zephyr, and Kizaru approached, Reiatsu on the surface of Zanpakuto finally produced extreme vibrations. Buzzing. Strange sounds, like the sounds of insects. Next moment, Aokiji, Kizaru, and Zephyr all seem to be trapped in hypnosis. They have strong willpower, but their bodies have slowed down. This is the mercy of Tusen Konami's men. He who played with Eisen knows what he should do. This sound is really weird. Zephyr gritted his teeth. Aokiji, Kizaru and others nodded. I felt that if I had known the opponent's Zanpakuto ability a long time ago, I would definitely choose to plug my ears or something. If I want to come, then there will be nothing wrong, right? But I was not familiar with the ability of the opponent Zanpakuto, so I was recruited. Marine is not the only one who has been recruited. One by one in the Revolutionary Army, the same was true. After being hypnosis, they only felt that their bodies did not belong to them. It seemed difficult to move them even once. At this moment, whether it is Marine or a member of the Revolutionary Army, there was an idea in my mind. Lost. To be honest, today Marine and the Revolutionary Army are not considered as joint forces. But it can be considered as a joint. Not so formal. But it was defeated like this. Now, Aokiji, Zephyr, Kizaru, Mori and others. It's not so comfortable in my heart. I thought I could resist it, but it was because I underestimated the enemy. They didn't know that Tusen Kanami had been merciful. Outside the island, on the warship, Ain, Bins and so on. Looking inside the island, everything that happened was incredibly unbelievable. They can't hear the hum. They just saw that Zephyr, who was still aggressive just now, and Admiral, suddenly lost, and their expressions were all incredulous. The combat power present can be said to be very strong. Zephyr, even if he is old and physically weak, has quasi-admiral strength. Aokiji and Kizaru are admiral strengths. As for the Western Army Commander Mori of the Revolutionary Army, no matter how low it is a quasi-admiral. Suddenly, inexplicably lost, Ain gritted his teeth. I'm afraid it's too late. Blue Brew. A Marine soldier recovered from the shock of the scene before his eyes, took the phone bug, and handed it to Ain. Surrender directly. The voice of Buddha Sengoku's questioning came from the phone worm. What are you fighting then? Where is the hope? What exactly is going on? Gotei 13 again. Sengoku, the Buddha of Naval Headquarters, was also startled when he heard this. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Is every captain of Gotei 13 so scary? At this time, he immediately said, go back quickly. How is the situation? We lost. Ain took a deep breath and said in a sad tone, the opponent is one of the captains of Gotei 13. I don't know what happened, but we really lost. Looking at the island, Tusen Kanami seems to be a killer to everyone. The phone worm on the warship screamed. Chapter 153. Tusen Kanami has raised Zanpakuto in his hand at this moment. But I didn't expect to die here. Mori and the Revolutionary Army and the others were all staring. You know, they passed here this time to inquire about the news from the people around them and see what happened to Naval Headquarters. So as to infer what happened to the Holy Land Mary Geoise, which is very important for the next plan of the Revolutionary Army, but who knows, I will meet this man here, it is totally outrageous, no, I can't say that. If they can know the ability of the other party just now, they think they might be fine if they cover their ears. It seems that everything is over. Zephyr and other Marine also widened their pupils, with a little despair in their eyes. They each have their own dreams. As Marine soldiers, they now think of what they used to be. Dream, they are not for celestial dragons, not for world government or something. They joined Marine for real justice. But what they have done over the years, at this moment when death is about to come, there is endless regret in their hearts. But what's the point of regretting it again? Zanpakuto of Tusen Kanami was finally hacked down. Stop. At this time, both the Marine soldier and the Revolutionary Army were desperate. At this time, Eisen suddenly jumped out. Now Eisen stretched out his palm and firmly held Tusen Kanami's Zanpakuto with both hands, and the blood was dripping in Eisen's hands. Why is he not doing anything at all? Some soldiers of the Revolutionary Army asked puzzledly. Perhaps because he is a person with the ability of fantasy fruits, such a fruit does not pay attention to attack power, I think it must be more advantageous than us in some aspects. Zephyr automatically brained up and said at the same time. The people of the Revolutionary Army nodded. However, this one called Eisen, how could it be the opponent of Captain Gotei 13? Hurry up and get out of here. At this moment, Aokiji also yelled. After talking with Eisen, he felt that Eisen was indeed a gentleman walking towards justice and light. Not only him, but Mori from the Revolutionary Army yelled. I didn't expect there to be someone like you in the sea, but if you can act, run away quickly and leave us alone. Escape. Eisen didn't seem to care about his bleeding hands. He turned his head. At this moment of life and death crisis, he could still smile at Zephyr, Mori and others. Even if it's dead, I can't give up anyone. As long as there is a glimmer of hope, you cannot give up. The next moment, Eisen yelled and pushed Zanpakuto away. I can actually die for these people, is it worth it? Tusen Kanami yelled appropriately. I am not for them, I am for my own faith. If I can abandon these people now, how can I save the world in the future and let everyone in this world have a gentle smile? Eisen yelled, heading towards Tusen Kanami. No, come back soon, you are not his opponent at all. Yes, you come back soon. Whether it was Zephyr or Mori, they all shouted. In their hearts, they were all touched. In Zephyr's view, Eisen was destined to be born for Marine and will lead Marine on the right path. In Mori's view, this man named Eisen will be the beacon of the Revolutionary Army. Although the Revolutionary Army is growing, its growth is too slow. It always feels like something is wrong. At this moment, Mori feels that it is bad. People from Eisen. Next moment, they were surprised to find something. Tusen Kanami seemed to hack towards Eisen. I don't seem to know where Eisen is the same. Read more at mtlarchive.com. How is this going? It's the power of fantasy fruit. Zephyr gritted his teeth and said, you must know that every devil fruit developed to the extreme has unimaginable power. At the same time, when devil fruit meets a matching person, it will also perform unimaginable power, such as what it is now. Quote. Aokiji, Mori and others all nod their heads. Didn't expect Eisen's fantasy fruit to affect the captain of Gotei 13. Even Kizaru couldn't help but said, if our combat power is not as good as Gotei 13, then can we rely on other abilities to help defeat Gotei 13? This sentence, called Zephyr, Aokiji's eyes lit up. Correct. Eisen's existence seems to be an assistant. Eisen is there. With the help of the phantom fruit, will it be able to defeat the so-called Shinigami of Gotei 13? Do not make jokes. At this moment, Mori drank suddenly, interrupting Zephyr's thoughts. Such a man should belong to our revolutionary army. As Mori's voice fell, one revolutionary army after another said in the same way, yes, he should belong to our revolutionary army. Look at what he wears, it's not your Marines. This shows that your Marine doesn't know the goods, so you should join our revolutionary army. The revolutionary army's ideals are truly the same as his ideals. Quote. Your naval headquarters are already rotten, how can someone like him join Marine? Quote. In the Spirit Palace, I thought Eisen wanted to join Marine, but it doesn't seem to be the case now. So what does he want to do? The corner of Chen Tian's mouth was smiling. Now, Eisen and Tusen Kanami are totally cooperating in acting. Tusen Kanami also played well. As for the purpose of Tusen Kanami doing this, Chen Tian can also know. Naturally different from the original, Shinigami. You know, in Gotei 13, Tusen Kanami is actually a squad captain that is easily overlooked. It can only be blamed on the popularity of other team captains. Even when Yamamoto Genryūsai ordered a task, sometimes Tusen Kanami was skipped. People go up high. Shinigami is the same. Aokiji, Zephyr, Kizaru, Marine are important combat powers. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. If Eisen performs well, he acts as Hueco Mundo. So Eisen must have promised Tusen Kanami. This is an uncountable loss for naval headquarters. When Sengoku of the Buddha thought so, Ain's voice rang from the phone bug. Marshal Sengoku, the people in the Revolutionary Army at this moment are shouting, I hope Eisen can join the Revolutionary Army. Quickly, what is the current situation? Ain came back to his senses and said this to the phone. It's Mr. Eisen. The power of his illusion fruit is so amazing that he actually saved everyone. Soul Society, Hueco Mundo, irrelative. Is it really the talent among the talents? But they are all under the control of the Spirit King, Good King Zhao, and in the eyes of the Spirit King, no one should not exist and is evil. This Eisen. In the phone worm in Ain's hand, the Buddha's Sengoku voice was extremely urgent. On the sea. If it's just lost. Sengoku of Buddha. On the other side, Sengoku of Buddha was shocked. Aokiji, Kizaru, and Zephyr were all defeated, but they were saved by Eisen. Chapter 154. Advertise here. At this moment, in the naval headquarters, Sengoku of Buddha was completely stunned there. Holding the phone worm in his hand, but the whole person seemed to be stupid, standing blankly, never expected such a thing to happen. He carefully thought about his current opponent with Gotei 13. It was so unfortunate that he didn't seem to have won. Even at this moment, with a whole card, he blew himself up. There is hope of defeating Seireitei Gotei 13. As long as it is a human, how can it not be harmed? But if you can't die, who would want to die? Now the Buddha Sengoku did not expect that the Eisen brought by Zephyr could actually block the captain of Gotei 13. This is really incredible. Now the Buddha Sengoku knows that Zephyr did not deceive himself. And myself. But he doubted Zephyr's statement. Oh my god, such talents, no matter what, are you going to keep them? Sengoku of Buddha regretted it, and immediately shouted out of the office, get me a warship. He wants to go by himself. At the same time, Tusen Kanami who was fighting seemed to understand something on this side, and suddenly he stepped back. Unexpectedly, there is someone who can restrain our Gotei 13 Shinigami above this sea. Your power is not strong, but this power can actually affect us. After speaking, Tusen Kanami turned and left. Gradually, Zephyr and others felt that their bodies gradually recovered and they could control themselves. They stood up one by one, watching this scene, but they didn't know what to say. Mori, the commander of the Western Army of the Revolutionary Army, was also deeply shocked, and at the same time stepped up immediately. Mr. Eisen, our Revolutionary Army needs someone like you. Seeing Mori's invitation to Eisen, the faces of Zephyr and other Marines were rather ugly. What kind of joke is this? Zephyr also hurried up now. No, how can this kind of thing be possible? Eisen should belong to our Marine. Now even Aokiji walked up immediately. Ms. Zephyr is right, Mr. Eisen should not belong to the Revolutionary Army. Aokiji does not want to become rivals with Eisen. He looks at Eisen very sincerely. Mr. Eisen, I very much hope that you can stay in our naval headquarters. Kizaru didn't speak anymore, and stood there with a look of beating. The commander of the Western Army, Mori, smiled disdainfully. I want Mr. Eisen to stay in your naval headquarters, but what can your marine protection give Mr. Eisen? As long as Mr. Eisen comes to our revolutionary army, I am willing to send the Western army. The long position is given to Mr. Eisen, what about you? Can you give Mr. Eisen anything? Hear the words. Zephyr, Aokiji, etc. were embarrassed. Marine's appointment is not that simple. For small tasks, Aokiji and other admiral can still make up their minds. Read more at mtlarchive.com. But the position of lieutenant general and above is not that simple. This requires Marshal Marine's order. Just at this time. Of course can. A warship is coming here. Observation Haki, the profound Buddha Sengoku, already knows the conversation on the island. What a joke. How can such a man be obtained by the revolutionary army? The warship approached. The Buddha Sengoku jumped into the island without saying a word. Now he walked directly in front of Eisen. From Sengoku's point of view, Marine wanted to defeat Seireitei, perhaps relying on this man's support ability. Mr. Eisen, if you can come to our naval headquarters, I am willing to let you directly become the admiral of naval headquarters. Buddha Sengoku patted his chest and made his own assurance. Aokiji waited shocked. I did not expect Marshal Sengoku of the Buddha to have such courage. You know, Aokiji, Kazaru, etc. became admiral of headquarters, and they also made a lot of credit and suffered a lot. But Aokiji didn't have much to say. On the contrary, he was very happy that Marshal Sengoku, the Buddha, could make such a decision. Aokiji thinks Eisen will not disappoint. Marine Admiral. Mori took a deep breath and said, then as long as Mr. Eisen comes to our revolutionary army, I believe Long may also give up his position. What? This sentence directly caused Sengoku of the Buddha to be stunned. Are you surprised? Mori smiled disdainfully, and said, for you Marine, position is very important, but for our revolutionary army, in fact, the leader, deputy leader, and even the chief of staff, the commander of the army does not matter. If someone better than himself appears, we are all willing to give up our position. Dragon also thinks so. This is our revolutionary army and will surely overthrow your world government. One of the reasons. Sengoku of Buddha. Sengoku, the Buddha, also knows a lot about the dragon, that is, Dorag. As the son of Garp, Sengoku of Buddha also indirectly witnessed the growth of Dorag. I never thought that this kid would become the leader of the revolutionary army. You know, Dorag was also a marine soldier. Dorag's character. I really don't care about fame or fortune. Now, Sengoku of the Buddha took a deep breath and looked at Eisen. To be honest, Marshal Marine can be handed over or not, this is not my choice. Whether you want to become Marshal Marine, I don't have it for the time being. I thought about it, but, Eisen, trust the sincerity of our Marine Admiral's position, reserved for you. Eisen smiled and nodded. The commander of the Western Army of the Revolutionary Army panicked and said, Mr. Eisen, Naval Headquarters, you don't understand what kind of existence it is. You only need to ask about celestial dragons to know who Marine is a group. Sengoku of Buddha, Zephyr, Aokiji and Kazaru, etc. Naval Headquarters, protect celestial dragons. No matter what celestial dragons do, the interests of celestial dragons are paramount. At this point, no need to wash. Join our revolutionary army. Our revolutionary army wants to overthrow the old system. Now, Mori continues to send out invitations. Eisen glanced at them apologetically, and said, I want to think about it again, is it okay? You know, joining a party means loyalty and cannot betray. This is not something that can be easily decided. Buddha Sengoku waited and nodded. Yes, Eisen did not agree, but they were very satisfied with Eisen's answer. Mori is the same. Now Mori said, Mr. Eisen, don't worry, I will tell Long when I go back and let him see you personally. Then you will know that our revolutionary army are all brothers, and there is no rigorous kind of superiors and superiors. Concept. When Sengoku of the Buddha heard this, his face was also tight, and he immediately said, Mr. Eisen, after I go back, I will immediately notify you so that everyone knows that my position of Admiral of Headquarters is reserved for you. At this time, Blue Brew. Buddha Sengoku's phone worm rang, and he answered directly, Hey, Marshal Marine Buddha Sengoku. Fire Fist Ace, now in my hands, I want to cooperate with you. Chapter 155. Advertise here. What? Huo Fist Ace was caught. Sengoku, the Buddha, heard the sound of the phone bug, and his whole person was also stunned. In fact, the world government has already figured out the life experience of Huoquan Ace. The Buddha Sengoku has been unbearable. He thought of Garp. He and Garp are both good brothers. The friendship is not fake, but now Huoquan Ace was still caught, and he was going to be handed over to naval headquarters. At this point, can his Sengoku of Buddha still refuse? Okay, I would like to meet you. After speaking, Sengoku of the Buddha hung up the call worm. At this moment, the atmosphere in the space is too solemn to speak. The Western Army commander of the Revolutionary Army, Mori, and others did not expect Huoquan Ace to be arrested. You know that Fire Fist Ace is the captain of the Whitebeard pirates, and one of Whitebeard's sons. Such a guy has been arrested. One can imagine what crazy actions Whitebeard will make. The situation on the sea may be caused by this. Unexpected changes. Sengoku, the Buddha, is thinking about whether to keep the people from the Revolutionary Army here. Of course, for Eisen Sosuke, the Buddha Sengoku is still very relieved. This guy is not like a spy at all. If he was a spy, he would have agreed to join Marine. Zephyr and Aokiji are now staring at the Revolutionary Army commander Mori and others. But Kizaru still looked awkward, and his eyes under the sunglasses were a bit complicated. It seems that he doesn't know who to help. Can you just stop fighting for the sake of my face? Eisen walked out again at this moment, standing between the two sides. The gaze under the pair of glasses seemed so sad, it seemed that he couldn't figure out why he must rely on fighting to solve everything. Love. Mr. Eisen, you can see it clearly now, the naval headquarters side is like this. Now Mori continued to dump the pot without saying anything to Marine. No, we're just making a joke. Sengoku of Buddha hopes to give Eisen a good impression, and hopes that Eisen will make a choice afterwards and choose to join Marine. At this moment, the battle is completely impossible. The Buddha Sengoku knows that he has more important things to do. He is about to face the Whitebeard pirates. This has already caused naval headquarters a headache. If he faces the revolutionary army, it will be cheating. At this moment, Huaquan Ace was caught, and naval headquarters had to make a plan. Now the Buddha Sengoku and others are preparing to leave, and naturally bid farewell to Eisen before leaving. Eisen, remember what Marshal Sengoku said, the position of Admiral of Headquarters has always been reserved for you. The warship started, and Zephyr, standing on the deck, shouted. Now Eisen also smiled and waved. It didn't take long for Naval Headquarters to send out a message that the position of Admiral of Headquarters will always be reserved for a man named Eisen Sosuke. No matter when he makes up his mind to join Marine, he is Marine. Admiral, this will never change. As soon as this news came out, it immediately caused a sensation across the Grand Line. Many people don't know who Eisen Sosuke is, but this guy has been treated like this by Naval Headquarters. This is really beyond everyone's expectations. This is the island of ghosts, the territory of Kaido. Now the three major plagues, as well as the 6 volleys, etc. are all gathered here. Kaido, the beast at this moment, smiled excitedly. I don't have much to say, I can only say that this era has really become more and more interesting. Excitedly uttered these words while binge drinking. Beasts, Kaido shouted. We beasts pirates, are we afraid of Seireitei, and are afraid of Naval Headquarters? As his voice fell, now the 3 major plagues, the 6 volleys and others shouted together, never fearless. Beast Kaido nodded in satisfaction. He believes that he has thick skin and thick flesh. He believed in his immortality. Seireitei or something, it is very beautiful, maybe the strength is above me, but if I can't kill myself, Kaido is not afraid of the beast. And this day, it is destined to be restless. For example, Blackbeard took Firefist Ace to Naval Headquarters. Blackbeard has already thought out a development plan, read more at mtlarchive.com. As long as one develops like this and believes in oneself, he will definitely become the 4 emperors, and then become the final One Piece king. The only thing to fear is Seireitei. I hope Seireitei will not interfere this time. When Blackbeard arrived at Naval Headquarters, he met the Buddha Sengoku. The two sides talked for a long time. At last, Buddha Sengoku nodded and announced the second news to the sea. Because of the arrest of Ace, Blackbeard became 7 warlords of the sea. After that, 5 elders from the world government also called. Let Sengoku of Buddha release the third news, that is, Marine will directly execute Firefist Ace at Naval Headquarters, Malin Vander. Find flowers. Sengoku of Buddha took a deep breath. As Marshal Marine, there are some decisions he is unwilling to make. But in this position, sometimes, it is really involuntary. On this day, the Buddha Sengoku shut himself in the office and told the outside that he would not see anyone who came. Sure enough, Garp is here. But there are a lot of Marines outside. Sengoku, the Buddha in the office, was silent. And with the emergence of this news, a wave of waves rose across the sea. Firefist Ace was caught. Marine, is this going to fight the Whitebeard pirates? I think it's the same thing, you know, Whitebeard values his family very much. 0. This matter is really interesting. Many forces are talking about this matter. At this moment, sons, Ace is waiting for us. Whitebeard also learned of the news. He had a hunch that he might never be able to come back. But, Whitebeard knew he had to go. With the angry voice of Whitebeard. Phoenix, Marco and others, also know that the soldiers are fierce and dangerous, but for the Firefist Ace, they have nothing to say. The Moby Dick left New World. Eisen is still on the raft at the moment. He felt that things were not enough. Actually become more enthusiastic. Let all the forces in the world participate in this battle, that's good. At last, Eisen became the focus. The throne of Hueco Mundo, that day should also have a master. At last, a man found Eisen. He is no one else. He has sharp long black hair, and his eyes are sharp and sharp. The red tattoos on the cheeks are so conspicuous. He is no one else, it is this man who cannot be ignored in this world, the most murderous criminal in the world, the leader of the revolutionary army, Dorag. Chapter 156. Originally, I thought I really wanted to write Eisen to Marine. I don't know that many people have written it, so some readers are a little annoyed. But this way, the Eisen people are at least normal. There is no doubt about this. Although Eisen joined Marine, but next, Eisen's personal settings are normal, but the modification is a bit abnormal now. I hope that after the Battle of the Top, a new chapter will begin. In this way, you can go on the street with the outline, the battle on the top, 5 elders will die, I'm or something, there will be an end. This fellow Dorag's voice is hoarse, but with a bit of magnetism. It is because of Mori's relationship that I decided to come here. Mr. Dorager. Eisen, who wears glasses, is gentle and polite, and just stares at Dorag quietly. And Dorag is also looking at this man. In the world of pirates, the more brutal and weird it looks, the more powerful it is, but the man in front of him named Eisen Sosuke, completely different. And this man is like a calm sea. People felt comfortable for a while, and did not notice any danger. But the more so involved, the more Dorag understood that this man was absolutely different, completely different from the others. Mr. Dorag is looking for me for something. Eisen's voice is still so gentle, watching Dorag's figure quietly. The corner of Dorag's mouth was raised, and he laughed. Of course I am here to invite you to join our revolutionary army and work hard to understand and save the suffering people in this world. Eisen nodded. In fact, Eisen had expected Dorag's words and others' words a long time ago. In addition to Kyoko Suigetsu's abilities, Eisen is no less intelligent than anyone. It can be said that there are few guys who can defeat him, but Eisen still wants strong power. Because sometimes, resourcefulness or something, in the face of absolute power, is nothing at all. For example, Eisen at this moment knows the horror of Yamamoto Genryūsai. Eisen doesn't want to be in Yamamoto Genryūsai. Eisen said nothing. Actually, do you know? Now there is an opportunity to overthrow the world government, which has already appeared. Mr. Dorag, haven't you noticed it? What? Hearing these words, Dorag's eyes brightened. Without knowing it, Kyoko Suigetsu has already had an effect. Now, Eisen continues. The Whitebeard pirates, this time attacking naval headquarters, don't you think that 5 elders of the world government will also find a way to intervene? Heard that, Dorag was startled. Will you intervene? Eisen smiled. Zanpakuto's ability is complete hypnosis. As long as the opponent has seen it once, you can complete hypnosis of the opponent's insensitivity. And his Zanpakuto is actually already on him. The 5 senses that govern the partner, let the appearance, shape, quality, feeling, smell, etc. of a specific object exist in full accordance with Eisen's meaning. It's not just that simple. I understand. At this moment, Dorag felt that what Eisen said was quite reasonable. Seireitei will also appear, and there are other forces. Eisen's voice sounded very comfortable. You are right. Dorag smiled. This time the battle on the top is a big opportunity. He can't miss it. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Eisen looked at this and nodded. Chen Tian's eyes are watching the movement of the entire sea. Now, many forces are beginning to move. E.g. Naval Headquarters got a fake ace. No, it's also ace, but a part of ace. The other part is in the Holy Land Mary Geoise. This point has changed from the original. It's not just that. In the original book, because of the red hair, Kaido of the Beasts was blocked, but this time he didn't. Instead, he went to the aunt of one of the 4 emperors to discuss whether he would also go to naval headquarters. These 2 guys used to be from Rock's Pirate. And Kaido owes her mother once. Perhaps it is the relationship between fish and fruit. Under Chen Tian's gaze, Dorag walked in the violent wind and returned to a base of the Revolutionary Army at the fastest speed. Sabo is also there. Now Dorag gave an order. Decided to go to naval headquarters Malin Vander. With the appearance of the words Fire Fist Ace's execution. Sabo seemed to remember something, his fists clenched. He knew he was going no matter what. Chen Tian retracted his gaze. Perhaps this time, Seireitei should also let the people on the sea know what kind of existence it is. After knowing it, who of them has such confidence to be an enemy of Seireitei? The situation of the sea, the waves are rough. This is naval headquarters. Time passed day after day. Finally, it was the day of execution. Naval headquarters has a sentinel who has discovered something and called out first. Attention, attention, I see more than 40 pirate ships coming here, and every captain is a big pirate. Hear this voice. In the harbor, Marine shouted. Well, what about Whitebeard? Has Whitebeard already arrived? Many Marines are scared. I escaped the last Unohana Retsu incident. I thought I could fish in troubled waters, but I didn't expect to encounter this kind of thing again now. There is also Marine who said without fear, even Gotei 13 did not completely destroy us. Whitebeard or something, no matter how strong it is, it can't be better than them. We Marine, we must be able to survive this time. The seabed in front of naval headquarters. It looks like we have arrived at the naval headquarters. Observation hockey. Perceiving something, Whitebeard narrowed his eyes and said, Sons, we should go out. The voice is low, but without losing the mighty and domineering. Boom. Naval headquarters recently failed repeatedly because of Seireitei. His voice was clear and audible, and there was a hint of majesty. Cool la la la, Sengoku, we haven't seen each other for a long time, my beloved son, are you okay? Tall, Hockey was born. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Even if there are densely packed Marines in front of you. The Moby Dick began to float. Immediately, the sea surged. In this way, the huge Moby Dick appeared in the harbor abruptly, before everyone. But Whitebeard still smiled indifferently. Whitebeard spoke. Whitebeard, between us, it's time to make an end. Looking at Whitebeard, the Buddha Sengoku solemnly said. Yes, old man, this time, no matter what, we must win. Whitebeard, standing in the front. Kong Yun cut in hand. For a while, there was no sound. Whitebeard looked to the front, and there was no one else there, but Sengoku, the Buddha. Chapter 157. Advertise here. Sengoku, the Buddha at this moment, knows that facing Whitebeard is much easier than facing Seireitei. Today's Seireitei is too mysterious for naval headquarters and even for world government. Even Seireitei doesn't know where, or why Gotei 13 calls itself Shinigami. How to deal with such a place? Of course, Sengoku of Buddha knows that facing Whitebeard, they have to be careful. Although the Whitebeard pirates are not as good as Seireitei's Gotei 13, they can't be underestimated. A little carelessness. Naval headquarters lost again this time. 5 elders is really unreasonable. Papa saw Whitebeard and his brothers appearing, and Ace was moved at the moment. He knew he was in trouble this time, and even if Whitebeard couldn't save him, Ace wouldn't say anything more, let alone complain. What he didn't expect at all was that old Whitebeard was here, and he didn't expect Blackbeard's strength to be so strong. He went to catch Blackbeard, but he was arrested instead. Ace, wait a while, Daddy will come to rescue you. By 18 Beard roared, he really treated each son as his own son, how could he watch his son die with his own eyes? Where is it here? Even if he sacrificed his own crippled life, he had to save his son. Now he inserted the huge Kong Yunchi into the bow of the ship, then clenched his fists, and smashed his fist toward the space in front of him with all his strength. This is one of his moves, Hyōjin. Whitebeard knows that he is old, and that he is now the oldest person among the 4 emperors. Nowadays, new people are coming out of the sea. Not only that, the mysterious existence that suddenly appeared, Seireitei, makes old people like Whitebeard jealous. Endless, but Whitebeard is not reconciled, he will shine even at the last moment of his life. This fist smashed into the void, and a huge crack appeared in an instant, and then a creaking sound was heard. The cracks expanded, the sea suddenly twisted, and the sea began to surging. Oh my god, what is going on? No, the sea is coming towards us now. This is the power of Whitebeard, it's terrible. Just when the marine soldiers were in a panic, Aokiji shot. He who was supposed to be sitting in admiral's position now jumped up and appeared in the air. Ice Age. In an instant, the huge waves created by Whitebeard were frozen by the ice. Then Aokiji directly attacked Whitebeard, and ice spears appeared in an instant, with a terrible chill, and directly stabbed Baihu. Just you, it's too early to defeat the old man. For Aokiji, Whitebeard, of course, can be regarded as a predecessor on this sea. Even if Whitebeard is old and weak, it is impossible for Aokiji to end up with Whitebeard in this way. This war is not easy. Naval Headquarters has adopted a live broadcast method, hoping that Naval Headquarters will be very prestigious, and now everyone on the sea is watching this battle. The Revolutionary Army, the Alliance of Beasts Pirates and the Ant, etc., they have actually been close to the Naval Headquarters, but they have not taken action for a long time. They are also watching the live broadcast. Snipe and clam fight, the fisherman gains the truth, they still deeply understand. Chen Tian was also watching this scene in the Spirit Palace, and in front of Chen Tian at this moment, Gotei 13 had already assembled. Yamamoto Genryūsai stood at the forefront. This old man is not angry and prestigious, exuding a terrifying aura. Because Eisen is not here, so, the head of Eisen's squad is Hinamori Momo. Those forces on the sea did not participate in all wars, and naturally Gotei 13 would not participate in the wars at this time. In the palace of the Lingwang Palace, Chen Tian condensed the world scene with Reiatsu, Zaraki Kenpachi, Byakuya Kuchiki and others are all watching this battle on the top. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Now, the battle on the top has officially started. For a time, you come and go. Simultaneously, the Buddha Sengoku held the phone worm, and his voice resounded in this world, every live broadcast square, and every place where there was a phone worm. Ace, he is the son of Roger, the One Piece King. If he is left alone, with his aptitude, he will definitely become a great pirate who endangers the world. So removing Ace's head here is of great significance. Even if it turns into an all-out war with Whitebeard, our naval headquarters will not hesitate. The voice of Sengoku of Buddha. It rang in some big corners of the world. Now, people all over the world were taken aback. They didn't expect Huaquan Ace to be Roger's son. The waters outside the naval headquarters. Kaido, the beast who watched the live broadcast, glanced at each other with the ant. But neither said much. Right now, the battle on the top was getting more and more intense. It can be said, the Revolutionary Army and others are all watching and preparing to take action. Originally, the situation was not so complicated. Because of Eisen's indirect relationship, things finally became like this. Ding, congratulations on completing the task and getting the Tsunaya house. The voice of the system resounded in Chen Tian's ears. Ding, Soul Society is completely complete. Close black lens bracket. Ding, Hueco Mundo, is officially opened. Chen Tian is in the Spirit Palace, but his eyes can see the world that other people can't see, that is, Hueco Mundo. Hueco Mundo is the space where Shu and Arankar live. At this moment, the virtual has appeared, but there is no Arankar yet. The environment of Hueco Mundo is very different from Soul Society. Hueco Mundo, there is no street or anything. Of course, there is only one building. That is Zai Palace. As for the outside of the Zai Palace, there is a desert-like barren ground and steep white cliffs. Right now, at this moment, Akainu, who is still sitting in the position of admiral and has not yet started to act, began to think and feel that he has to think of it. This information is very important. Jillian heads, roaring, has also come to naval headquarters. It seemed that he was the only one who remained calm in the audience. Sengoku, the Buddha on the high platform, did not expect Eisen to appear at this time. At this moment, he knew he should act too. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. It's him, Eisen now, looking at the naval headquarters square in front of you, the bloody scene of you killing me and I killing you. Chen Tian now uses his consciousness to contact Eisen. He is stopping the killing. This man with glasses and a gentle feeling walked out step by step. Akainu stared at Eisen's back, feeling a little familiar, as if he was somewhere, I've seen it before. But for a while, it is hard to think of it. Let me see if you are qualified to be the agent of Hueco Mundo, and the master of the Palace of the Night. Enough, don't fight anymore. Where is it? Chapter 158. Advertise here. Akainu felt that he must have seen Eisen somewhere, and now Akainu stared at Eisen coldly. Sakazuki, he is not our enemy. Buddha Sengoku still knows Akainu very well. He realized something and shouted immediately. Akainu snorted and didn't speak, clenched his fists and stood up for the next moment, and he could hit Meteor Volcano. One after another, the giant lava ball burning with flames slammed in the direction of the Whitebeard pirates. Since Eisen can't be smashed, let's attack in a wide range. One after another, giant lava balls struck like heavy rain, densely streaking across the sky, and the air was burning with creaking noises. For a while, the giant lava ball fell in the pirate's indicator and also fell among the marine soldiers. Blood splattered, the corpse was charred into ashes, and it was even completely pierced by the lava hole. Akainu's eyes were cold and he didn't care, even if it was marine soldiers who died more. There is also a huge giant lava ball, now heading towards Whitebeard. This giant lava ball that broke everything is about to fall on top of Whitebeard's head. The Phoenix Marco turns into a bird of blue flame and flies. Go up and resist the huge giant lava ball. Judging from this scene, it seems that Marco can contend with Admiral. However, this is not the case. He can only temporarily resist Admiral. Now the blue firebird screamed and made a crisp crosstalk. Akainu launched such an offensive. Naturally, Whitebeard wouldn't just watch the opponent make a move. Now Diamond Joe shouted, his hands gathered an armament hockey immediately plunged into the ground, roaring in anger, and suddenly a huge ice block. He was moved by Diamond Yosh, and then slammed directly at the place where naval headquarters was with a fierce look. If the huge stones fall, the building of naval headquarters will collapse again. At the moment everyone in the world is watching this live broadcast. If the iconic naval headquarters building is destroyed in this battle, it will be the greatest shame to Marine. At this moment, it was Akainu who took the shot again, and hit it directly with a fist. Ming, dog. The huge and terrifying fist covered in lava directly smashed the huge block of ice through, and Heibalu split up, the ice block the stone moved around, killing the pirates and also the marine soldiers. On the square of naval headquarters Marin Vander, the war had just started, and it didn't take long before the casualties were serious. Is this kind of battle really worth it? Now Eisen takes the shot. Eisen's hand knife hit the pirates, marine soldiers and others with one shot, and then another, knocking them out. He seemed to be preventing the fight. But the facts may only be seen clearly by Chen Tian. Kyoka Suigetsu has been launched. In fact, in Chen Tian's view, the person who has been stunned is actually dead. At the same time, under Kyoka Suigetsu, those who have died are also tortured. Before death, they have seen terrible scenes. They will gradually transform into virtual existence. Eisen has been planning for himself since this time. Hueco Mundo needs more and more emptiness, so that a powerful existence can be born. You know, a Jillian needs more than 100 emptiness. Of course, to be more accurate, the so-called Jillian is the product of more than 100 extremely hungry virtuals who swallow each other and produce energy fusion. Right now, how many heads can be created in this battlefield? How many Jillians can be produced? In the Spirit Palace. Chen Tian didn't say much. Soul Society belongs to him. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Hueco Mundo belongs to him. As the Spirit King, it seems that he doesn't care about the so-called justice or evil. Justice and evil, for Shinigami, for the imaginary, it is no longer possible to summarize them. At this time, the Shinigami in the palace of the Soul King looked at this scene in this world. Many Shinigami nodded. Captain Eisen Sosuke is really gentle. Shinigami, maintain the order of the Soul Society. If the Soul Society is affected in this world, Shinigami will also take action. As for who was killed, this kind of thing is not in Shinigami's control. Right now, Eisen shot. Many Shinigami couldn't help but sigh with his kindness. Hinamori Momo, the deputy captain of the 5th Division, looked at this scene. After Hinamori Momo and the 5th Division members looked at each other, the seemingly weak Shinigami finally bravely said to Chen Tian, please let the 5 squad go help Captain Eisen and stop this war. Hitsugaya Tōshirō is related to Hinamori Momo, and he immediately looks at Hinamori Momo. When they were young, Hinamori Momo and Hitsugaya Tōshirō always went to Tōshiro's house to play, and they liked to call Tōshirō, Little White, Little Lion. Eisen's plan, Chen Tian knows, but Chen Tian will not say it. Hueco Mundo, is not necessarily evil in the eyes of the Spirit King. In fact, it is just a different department. If you want to go, just go. Hinamori Momo nodded. She took the members of the 5th Division and left directly. The crossing gate appeared. Shinigami. People in this world can't see it. Because of the system, you can also choose to be seen by people in this world. Simultaneously, Shinigami, it's not necessary to wear a death tyrant. When you don't wear a tyrant outfit, it's not necessarily a waste. Right now, Hinamori Momo and others appeared outside the naval headquarters. It was too conspicuous to pass through the gate. After that, they jumped up one by one and rushed to naval headquarters. Now, Aizen's movements are too obvious. Under Kyoka Suigetsu, what others saw was that Eisen was just stunning people. Whether it was Marine or the pirate, they chose to stun. It doesn't seem to be on Marine's side, nor with the pirates. Quote. What are you doing? Quote. At this moment, Whitebeard stood still on the Moby Dick, and did not act. His eyes scanned the battlefield. Aizen's strange behavior did not hide it from him. Promise, I just hope to end the killing by other means. Aizen's gentle words called Whitebeard to be silent for a while, but still, cool, laughed. He continued. You are too naive to use this method to end the dispute on the sea. You can't do it just by yourself. Sengoku of Buddha also watched Aizen's conversation with Whitebeard, although they were enemies with Whitebeard. But Sengoku of Buddha also agrees with Whitebeard's words, no matter how powerful a person is, it is not enough. Now, swish. No, there are still us. Hinamori Momo waited and finally came back. They are. Hinamori Momo and so on came, because there was no reason to wear a death tyrant. At this moment, both Marine and the pirate are curious. Kaido, watching the live broadcast, felt that the situation was getting more and more complicated. Who is this group of people? Chapter 159. Advertise here. At this moment, Hinamori Momo and others have gathered beside Eisen. At this time, everyone understands that these people are Eisen like-minded people. His philosophy is the philosophy of all of us. At this moment, Hinamori Momo has regarded Eisen as his own belief. Of course, it's not just Hinamori Momo. Many members of the 5th Division are admiring Eisen. Eisen's mouth also has a gentle smile. In Gotei 13, the presence of the 5th Division is particularly peaceful. They seem to be quietly paying for Seireitei. Their team is just like their dialogue, Mazuimu, Waiu's sacrifice for others, and pure love. Unexpectedly, do people like you already have so many partners? At first, Whitebeard thought that this man named Eisen was just talking big and talking, but he didn't think of Eisen's side. Hundreds of people have gathered together. At this moment, Whitebeard doubted, could this man really bring peace to the sea? Don't be kidding, how can peace exist? A crazy marine suddenly got Akainu's eyes instructed, roared, and headed south. Akainu has begun to doubt Eisen's identity, but there is no evidence. At this moment, Hinamori Momo and others took action. Shinigami's skills are not limited to Zanpakuto, of course there are other skills besides those that have already appeared and been known. At this moment, I don't know that Hinamori Momo and others are carrying a wooden sword. Of course, in the eyes of Shinigami, it has other names. With the cooperation of Hinamori Momo and the other players, even if he didn't use real moves and strength, the Marine Lieutenant General was immediately overwhelmed. The people around you are also very nice. They are not a mob that just gathers casually. Whitebeard was looking at the scene before him. To be honest, today's battle on the top Whitebeard has already prepared for the worst, that's a big deal. Because his death opened a new era. Now the performance of Eisen has given Whitebeard the hope of a new era, but he still tentatively said, although you have gathered a lot of companions around you, there are still too few. You people can really end this chaos. The sea. Many pirates in the Whitebeard pirate group also laughed. Don't be kidding, how could someone end this chaotic sea? You have to know that there were many pirates in the sea before Roger became the One Piece King. How can this turbulent sea be calmed down? Not to mention what the Whitebeard pirate group thinks, the gathered 7 warlords of the sea looked at each other and were silent. If there is a group of forces that can put an end to the chaos of the sea, then there is only that great Spirit King. Hancock now thought of the voice she had heard before, she couldn't help holding her cheek, and a trace of blush appeared on the beautiful face. It seems to think of the scene of getting married with the Spirit King who has never really met. No, I believe in Eisen. At this moment, another loud shout rang out. Zephyr took his 2 disciples, and other students walked up, and stood beside Eisen in the same way. Whitebeard was surprised. Even Zephyr is standing beside this Eisen Sosuke so firmly now. If you can, add me. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Aokiji also walked out and thought of the conversation he had with Eisen. He felt that he was willing to fight for the idea of such a man. Aokiji stood beside Eisen in the surprise of the marine soldier and the pirate's stunned gaze. Perhaps, in your opinion, I am still very small. Under Eisen's frame, his eyes were firm and said, but as long as there is a glimmer of hope, I must work hard. There is no serious relationship between our superiors and superiors. We are just a group of people who strive for ideas. I believe that as long as we persevere, a truly bright day will finally come. Eisen's voice, under Kyoka Suigetsu, affects people's hearts. He looks. It seems that it is exactly like the savior of this world. Some marine soldiers, some pirates, they somehow felt that they wanted to stand beside this man. Now, one marine, then another marine. One pirate, and then another pirate, they now gathered one by one towards Eisen. Some Marines originally wanted to have a truly peaceful world before joining Marine. Now they seem to remember their original dreams. And the pirates who joined the Whitebeard pirate group did not join in order to burn, kill, and snatch. Now, there are more and more people around Eisen. On the execution stage, Lieutenant General Crane watched this scene and was also taken aback. He suspected that the other party did not eat the phantom fruit, but ate the bewitching fruit, otherwise, how could it be like this? Marine soldiers, pirates. At this moment, the battlefield was completely calm and no more fighting. Lieutenant General Crane shrank his pupils sharply and said, "This man is not easy." Sengoku of Buddha heard the words and nodded. "There are some things," he said to the Crane with peace of mind. Now he said in a low voice, "If it wasn't for the position of Marshal Marine, if you were so young, I think I would not." He stood beside him hesitantly. Lieutenant General Crane was taken aback. The Buddha Sengoku said firmly, "In the beginning, our dreams and ideas, weren't they the same?" Lieutenant General Crane was silent. She felt that Sengoku's thoughts of the Buddha had become a little weird. Gradually go in the opposite direction. The Buddha Sengoku continued to mutter, "Look, because of his appearance, the battlefield is no longer fighting at this moment. It seems that time has stopped. If possible, I hope that he can let all Marines come to his side." She was also young. But the man Eisen, it seems to be affected by something. Lieutenant General Crane felt that she knew when she was young, if she knew some things she would do when she was old, she would definitely be unbelievable, and felt that it could not be her at all. But I don't know when it started. Yup, Lieutenant General Crane still felt that something was wrong. To be honest, read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Especially with regard to celestial dragons, world government sometimes unreasonable orders. She also joined naval headquarters for this idea. She was the prettiest female Marine in naval headquarters back then. They gave up the principles they should have when they were young again and again. Lieutenant General Crane said, "Why do you think so?" Lieutenant General Crane was shocked. Chapter 160. Advertise here. Originally, the square of naval headquarters should be filled with blood, but now the square of naval headquarters, Marin Vander, is now a strange tranquility. Whether it is the pirates or the Marine, they seem to have stopped fighting, looking at this named Eisen Sosuke. Man. People all over the world are watching this scene, and they never expected to see such an outrageous scene. Now outside of naval headquarters, I hope that the Whitebeard pirates and Marine would kill the beast Kaido. The two aunts saw such a scene and both had their eyes split. The same attitude as them is, of course, Blackbeard, who was still fighting and impelled down. Blackbeard was angry after hearing the news, but he doesn't care so much now. He is going to the 6th floor now, as long as it is not Seireitei. Gotei 13, then it must be his Blackbeard who achieved the greatest result in the end. In addition to the naval headquarters, the Revolutionary Army has also arrived, but they are not close to the naval headquarters. Dorag, Sabo and others looked at the screen projected in the video call notification. They were also very surprised. Of course, in their opinion, what Eisen did. It should be right. Let everything be at peace. Isn't this what the Revolutionary Army is pursuing? But Dorag knew that things would not be so simple. 5 elders knew the situation here and would not allow it. Correct. 5 elders, what they need is naval headquarters truly eliminate the Whitebeard pirates. Don't be kidding, justice doesn't come out like this. There is no more fighting around. It looks weird to most people, or it looks beautiful, but in Akainu's view it makes him feel angry. Akainu felt that the justice of this man was completely different from his justice. Although Sengoku of Buddha once told him that this man is not an enemy, Akainu can't manage so much now. At this moment Akainu has already shot most of the attacks. For a while, lava sprayed towards the space in front of him. Smoke billowed. The situation is horrible. What is this doing? Sengoku of Buddha looked at Akainu's method and roared. You know, there are a lot of Marines in the space before Akainu. Akainu's attack broke everything open with terrible heat and temperature. It's time to stop. At this time, Whitebeard shot. As soon as he moved, he grabbed Kong Yunchi with one hand, and the other hand, clenched into a fist, had appeared in front of Akainu, and now he slammed it directly without saying a word. Boom. There are too many members of the Whitebeard pirate group where Akainu is about to attack. Although not the captain of the squad. But each one called him Whitebeard his daddy. Now, Whitebeard's fist was shrouded in white halo. Under the collision of the two. Click. The broken sound in the space is so clear. At the same time, space is distorted. The two stood in a stalemate, and the claim that the Emperor was at the same level seemed reliable. The next moment, Whitebeard yelled, and Akainu was shaken back 3 or 4 steps. Whitebeard gritted his teeth, his eyes angry. The power of Whitebeard was revealed. People from all over the world who watch the live broadcast have their eyes wide open. Can Whitebeard be so old when he is so old? Looking at the live broadcast, Kaido has already brandished his weapon. At this time, he already wanted to go to naval headquarters. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Let me bear it, the ant yelled. How can it be done at this time? You have to wait until the last appearance, so that you can eat the fruits of victory. Otherwise, entering naval headquarters at this moment, there is no guarantee of victory at all. Neither Kaido nor the ant is sure to defeat Whitebeard. Akainu gritted his teeth. At this moment, naval headquarters, he is the only one fighting. What is this? Akainu looked at the surrounding marines. Of course, some marines were on Akainu's side, but there were too few. The Phoenix Marco called. Akainu, just want you to beat the old man, don't dream. Akainu's eyes were cold. Is it? At this time, no one noticed. Skyard came behind Whitebeard. He, who is also on the side of Whitebeard, usually calls Whitebeard the daddy. No one noticed his behavior, because it was normal. Right now, Skyard shot. Stop. Eisen stretched out his hand between the flashing stones and grabbed Skyard's wrist. Everyone noticed what had happened. Skyard wanted to sneak attack on Whitebeard, but Eisen stopped him. The people of the Whitebeard pirates were all shocked. What is going on? Why is Skyard like this? But someone can guess it. Find flowers. Back then, Skyard's original pirate group was destroyed by Galdi. Roger, and now Whitebeard has concealed from him that Ace is Roger's son. There is no doubt that Akainu used this as a breakthrough point. Success instigated him. Akainu was not at all happy at this moment. In his opinion, Eisen had destroyed the means of victory. How is this going? Originally, Whitebeard was already old, and coupled with the sneak attack, Akainu asked himself that the odds of defeating Whitebeard like this were much higher. Now, his voice was full of anger, and he shouted, Eisen, what are you doing? Whitebeard also looked at Eisen suspiciously. To tell the truth, he and Eisen Sosuke did not have deep friendship. They only met for the first time today, and they only said a few words. 0. Under the gaze of everyone, Eisen solemnly said, I can't sit and watch anyone and die in front of me. Akainu glared at Eisen. Thinking of this, Chen Tian snapped his fingers. This guy, in the original Shinigami, was the owner of the original, Hueco Mundo, and later became the second among Espada. Ding, congratulations on getting. The Spirit Palace. This is naval headquarters. He can't tolerate Eisen's actions, even if the Buddha Sengoku tells him not to hurt this person again, Akainu knows that he has to do it too. Now Akainu remembers it and rescued Kurosaki Isshin from the Shamboard Islands. Guy, there is 80% similarity. His words are simple but powerful. Chen Tian's eyes lit up slightly. Chen Tian thought for a while, the appearance of Baragan might help Eisen's plan. Just when Akainu was about to take a shot, suddenly, a heavy and terrifying breath descended on naval headquarters. Chuan. Hinamori Momo and others are quite happy. For the 5th division, such a captain is exactly what they follow. Ding, congratulations on getting Akainu 10,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting Whitebeard 10,000 shock points. At the same time, Chen Tian's ears heard the cold and mechanical sound of the system. After asking everyone present to look at each other, they all had mixed emotions in their eyes. Chapter 161. Advertise here. What the hell is going on? How can you feel this way? Everyone in naval headquarters Malin Vando felt it at this time. The atmosphere was dignified, and there was a kind of breath that seemed to be born between the world and the earth, calling them from I felt fear in my soul from my bones. What is going on here? Whitebeard also widened his still strong eyes. He had never felt this way before, even when facing the most terrifying locks on the sea that year, he did not have such a terrifying and indescribable feeling. It's really weird. In the next moment, you will find that the space is enveloped by black aura for some time, it seems like a black mist, and the black gas is billowing, almost covering the sky above the entire naval headquarters, and then some buildings are under such endless black gas. It also seems to have become a sense of age. Looking at the scene in front of me, both the pirate and marine's complexion changed drastically. What happened at the marine headquarters? Everyone in the world was watching the live broadcast. They were all confused. At the same time, the sharp-eyed people found something. They looked pale. They had never seen such a scene before, but watched. The buildings of naval headquarters are beginning to age, and the trees that can be seen occasionally begin to dry up. Everyone watching the live broadcast, including Kaido, 4 emperors, and Dorage, all of them frowned at the moment, unable to imagine what happened within naval headquarters. At this moment, the space in naval headquarters suddenly cracked and a black hole appeared. On the other side, it was pitch black. No one knew where it was. The airflow, atmosphere, and breath that came from were disgusting. After that, a black air that made my scalp numb swept out, and then a figure finally walked out under the entanglement of the black air. He looks very burly and sturdy, with the appearance of an old man, with a crown-like headdress on his head, a huge golden compass around his waist, and a coat that resembles a long coat, which looks like a country's king. He held his head up at the moment, as if he was dismissive of other people, and seemed to look down on anyone in his gaze. As this guy, Hinamori Momo waited for Shinigami to guess. When he saw this figure, his pupils suddenly tightened. At this moment Baragan stood there quietly. He looked very arrogant, and there was a trembling smell on his body. At this moment, Baragan gradually knew what was going on. If he does not perform well, then the agency of Hueco Mundo will fall into the hands of others. Now he is still the lord of Hueco Mundo, with his fists clenched on his back, he does not allow others to become the king of Hueco Mundo. Now Baragan takes a deep breath and will let the Spirit King know who is the most qualified to lead the existence of Hueco Mundo. Who shall I start with? Baragan said in a calm tone, spitting out such a sentence. In the ordinary, with a look of despising other people. His words made Akainu quite unhappy. You know, Akainu was about to do it just now, but was interrupted by the appearance of this person. Looking at Baragan's clothes, he didn't look like the guy from Gotei 13. Akainu now had his arms burning with lava, and he took firm and angry steps and walked towards Baragan. The smoke on his arms radiated, anger. Has reached the extreme. No, this guy comes from Hawako Mundo, you can't deal with it. Hinamori Momo shouted immediately. Maybe it's because of Hinamori Momo's kindness. Even if Akainu has nothing to do with her, it still speaks like this. Hinamori Momo's words are called Sengoku of the Buddha and frowned. Hawako Mundo. It seems that Gotei 13 claimed that Shinigami mentioned something, but I don't remember it very clearly. What is this? Hawako Mundo. Sakazuki is back. Sengoku, the Buddha on the high platform, took a deep breath, told himself to keep calm, then shouted. However, Akainu's footsteps did not stop. Heaven dog. Akainu has raised his big fist. Ha ha ha. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Baragan laughed with disdain when someone came to the door by himself. Then, he moved. Too fast. Akainu hasn't hit this punch yet. Baragan's ringing whirled, already behind Akainu, his palm exuded a trace of black air, and then he held Akainu's lava arm. Beneath the lava that seemed to burn everything, Baragan seemed nothing. Then, what? Suddenly, Akainu noticed the same in his arm, and immediately broke his giant lava arm, and then jumped aside. Akainu's elemental arm fell to the ground. As for his real arm, it seemed that there was nothing wrong with it, but Akainu took a closer look and found that this arm was like his arm after getting old. The Spirit Palace. Byakuya Kuchiki and others all watched this scene. Hitsugaya Tōshirō is very worried about Hinamori Momo, now his fists are clenched. At the same time, he was also wondering how the existence of Hawako Mundo could appear in this world. He wanted to ask the Spirit King very much. But Reiatsu in the palace of the Spirit King pressed him down. This Reiatsu is too majestic. It's not just that. Captain Yamamoto Genryūsai did not say much. Hitsugaya Tōshirō, now he can only fidget there. Hiroku Shunsui's lazy eyelids glanced at Hitsugaya Tōshirō, and whispered, don't worry, Eisen is there. I hope. Hitsugaya Tōshirō secretly said. Let us be imaginary. In this world, have fun. In Baragan's eyes, everything is just a plaything. What he likes most is torture, slowly torturing the enemy to death. In his eyes, not only marine, but also pirates. Right now. His palm was grabbed at a pirate. Who gave you the courage to use the old man's son? The pirate still stood there blankly, seemingly unable to react to anything. Whitebeard has already punched. Above the fist, a white halo gathered, with endless vibrating power, and slammed Baragan away. Ha 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 ha. But in the face of Whitebeard's horrible punch, Baragan didn't fear at all, stepping on and ringing. The next moment, he appeared behind Whitebeard. Whitebeard's punch fell into the space, and the space trembled for a while. But what's the use of not hitting the enemy? So fast. At this moment, the Phoenix Marco and others reacted one by one, his complexion deep. My father's fist is actually not slow. The other party is too fast. Simultaneously, the situation at Naval Headquarters has developed beyond their expectations. It turns out to be like this. Hawako Mundo, what exactly is it? Chapter 162. All the people above the sea looked at the live broadcast, and they were silent for a while. Akainu's fist that can melt everything, and Whitebeard's terrifying punch, which was easily evaded by the opponent just now. What is this guy? How can a guy who has never seen it before have such a fast speed and such power? All the major forces on the Great Sea, the faces of each member are now sinking. Now they can't help but wonder if they have been eliminated by the times. Hey, who the hell is this guy? Looking at the live broadcast, Kaido the Beast also said wildly angrily. As the existence of the older generation of the sea, he also followed Locks out to mix the sea. It stands to reason that he should know this strong man in the sea, but this guy, the Beast Kaido, is sure that there is absolutely no memory or figure of this guy in his mind. Stop calling, Kaido, we have to be careful this time. Ant 4 Emperors said rudely. Besides the naval headquarters, the Revolutionary Army frowned. I only thought that this battle on the top was just a battle between the pirates and the marine, but now, such a figure suddenly appeared. The guy who has never appeared on the sea has such power. 18 Sabo couldn't help but said. Since Seireitei appeared, one after another has never been famous has emerged in the sea. This guy does not dress like Seireitei's Gotei 13, so what is it sacred? Now Dorag did not speak. No matter how sacred the other party is, in short, if you don't have a way to deal with this person, whether it is marine or the pirate is very dangerous. From the live broadcast, from Baragan's eyes, Doragrid can see that this guy doesn't put anyone in his eyes at all. To be precise, people are like food or fun in his eyes. Naval headquarters. Baragan stood there at this moment. Standing still like this, the pupils of many marine soldiers and pirates were trembling. Don't dare to act rashly. Everyone, it's time to join forces. This guy is not a product of this world. Facing such an opponent, we must work together. Eisen now knows that this is the last test given to him by the Spirit King. Who is qualified to assume the role of Hawako Mundo as an agent? In Eisen's words, the two words of the world, whether it is Marine or the Whitebeard pirate, are attracted by these two words. In this world, I didn't expect to hear these two words from Eisen. Lieutenant General Crane on the high platform looked a little complicated. To be honest, anyone could say these two words, but Naval Headquarters would not have noticed it. These two words are entirely because of Seireitei. Naval Headquarters attaches great importance to these two words. In the present world, the initial analysis of Naval Headquarters was the current world, so when Seireitei said that they were the present world, Naval Headquarters guessed that Seireitei belonged to the past world. At this moment, these two words reappear, and Zhao Hejong will have other thoughts. Did all the people in the Marine Department understand the two words in this world incorrectly in the past? Marine and the pirate want to join forces. Deal with this person. To be honest, Eisen's belief has made many people willing to follow him, but for them to work together now, this is something that some Marines and some Marines can't do. Is it you? Baragan looked at Eisen. Since I appeared in this world, I knew cause and effect in my mind. Someone want to compete with themselves for the position of the master of Hueco Mundo. Baragan is now heading towards Eisen. Eisen rushed up for the first time. Team leader, Hinamori Momo screamed worriedly. Do not go. Looking at Eisen's figure, Whitebeard gave a reminding call. He felt that the horror of Baragan in front of him was still above locks. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Facing such an enemy, it would be too dangerous. Right now. Baragan's eyes are cold. The other party is Shinigami. Facing such an opponent, Baragan didn't dare to be careless. He knew the Spirit King and was watching here. He also wanted the Spirit King to take a look at his true power. Rotten, King Skeleton. This is the liberation of swords. This is his liberation language. As the sound falls, the appearance of Baragan has changed dramatically. The head wears a multi-layer crown, the face and body become skull-shaped, the feet wear warped boots, the whole body is covered with black flames, and there is a long silver chain from the corner of the crown chain. What exactly is this? How did this guy suddenly become like this? It's terrible. Just looking at it, I feel my soul is trembling, it's so cold, and my body has become so cold. Quote. Naval Headquarters, Marine of Marine Vando, Pirates, legs trembling. Everyone in the world watching the live broadcast had their eyelids trembling in anxiety. Right now, death sigh. Baragan exhaled a long sigh full of death towards Eisen who was coming towards him. Suddenly, everything around is aging rapidly, even the earth seems to be the same. Then, everyone saw an incredible picture. Eisen is aging. Then, everything decayed, it seemed to be completely gone. Team leader, Hinamori Momo watched this scene, tears came out, gritted his teeth. The members of the 5th Division are all angry. The same goes for Sengoku, Zephyr, etc. of Buddha. Lieutenant General Crane frowned slightly, she heard the word captain from Hinamori Momo's mouth. What the hell is this guy? Zephyr yelled, the blue veins became prominent, and Seastone's arm slammed Baragan up, as if he wanted to smash his skull completely. Rumble. No one knew what Baragan did, too fast. Ha 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 ha. Under the black air, everything decays, ages, and shatters. Seastone's arm is also aging, and it will be completely scrapped in the next moment and can no longer be scrapped. Haichi, facing the surroundings, whether it is marine or a pirate, they are all prey. Whether it's Shinigami, human, virtual or Arankar. Now Baragan laughed wildly, those white teeth were particularly conspicuous. In this world, only my power is unique and absolute. Sengoku of Buddha, Garp, etc., looked at the marine soldiers who had deteriorated and shattered a large area just now. They were also angry. He waved it casually. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Whitebeard looked at his tragic son, his eyes angry. Suddenly, the differences and disputes between you, will and freedom, birds and beasts and vegetation, the moon, stars, and the sun, all of which are not in my eyes at all. The earth shook. Too small. Too small. But, Chapter 163. Advertise here. Baragan, still smiling frantically there. The skull is very arrogant and proud. Bloom, Fame. Hinamori Momo was furious, Zanpakuto appeared and started Shikai. She is Shinigami. Akainu's eyes condensed. This is not the time to think about this. Buddha Sengoku yelled, and his body swelled suddenly, turning into a giant golden Buddha. Sengoku, the Buddha, has a well-deserved reputation. It's not just that his body has grown bigger, his breath, power, and strength are different from just now. Zephyr gritted his teeth and said, perhaps because of Eisen's faith, even the guy from Gotei 13 is the only one standing by his side. Cover armament hockey at this moment, becoming a black samurai. Garp also jumped up. In Garp's view, Naval Headquarters now has such a thing, maybe Ace's thing will be ignored. If possible, Garp certainly doesn't want Ace to have an accident. Now, Whitebeard also raised his fist. So many people. But before the terrible power, what can it be? At this moment, Baragan's sickle waved away, and a black breath suddenly hit them. There was a loud bang. The world is changing at this moment. The terrible air wave, centered here, moved towards the surroundings. Do not. The black breath surging out was too terrifying. Pirate, Marine is under such power, everything is old and broken. Why don't you understand that in this world, everything except my strength is trivial? The terrible black wave spread quickly, and Whitebeard and others found themselves unable to gain the upper hand with so many people added together. In that terrible black wave spreading color, suddenly the earth in the space began to become barren. How can there be such power? This is not Devil Fruit's power at all. Quote. Not to mention the people from naval headquarters, Malin Bando, are now dumbfounded. Everyone watching the live broadcast was also breathing air conditioning at the moment. Baragan, just now, with his own strength, resisted Whitebeard, Garp, etc. This is not scientific at all. According to normal logic, it is impossible for such a powerful existence to exist. Under the control of me, who possesses the supreme power, this world will appear as it should be. As for the others. Paused. Baragan continued arrogantly. Under the power of competing against each other, equality will not be bred. Finished. He is casual again. Black breath, slashed past. Whitebeard hurriedly avoided the pirate sons behind him, but there was no more. Whitebeard clenched his fists, his eyes breathed fire with anger. He has never had today's anger. Look, in my eyes, there is no difference between your life and the life of an ant. Ha 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 ha. The skull is smiling. Whitebeard gritted his teeth. Buddha Sengoku has a calm face. Garp also took a deep breath, knowing he had to work hard. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Can we really fight against such an opponent? Yes, can we be opponents? Or, let's run away. Right now, whether it's Marine or the pirate, under Baragan's power, the already feared body is shaking. How could it be an opponent? Everyone in the world watching the live broadcast is now like a wooden person. In the words of Baragan, arrogant, but it also makes sense. How could it be against such a guy? Baragan didn't seem to use his full strength just now, just waved his sickle. It has been terrible to this extent. Such an enemy. Who can overcome it? Ha 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 ha. The skull is still smiling. He believed in the Spirit King, he must have seen here. Baragan believes that the Spirit King has understood that there will be no other existence besides him, who is worthy of being the king of Hawako Mundo. Too arrogant. In the palace of the Spirit King, Hitsugaya Tōshirō wanted to live in the past and was worried about Hinamori Momo. However, the Spirit King did not speak. Yamamoto Genryūsai did not speak either. Hitsugaya Tōshirō knew that he had to hold his breath. When the Seireitei Gotei 13 played, it had not yet arrived. However, he is really impatient. You damn thing. Whitebeard couldn't bear it. Go on. Garp yelled. At this moment, Garp only felt that under the situation of anger and anxiety, his power seemed to be back again. The Buddha of Sengoku, Aokiji, Kizaru, Akainu, Zephyr, the Phoenix Marco, Foil Vista, Hawkeye, etc. nod their heads. Never before have we worked together like this. Now they have gathered all the forces that can be mobilized. Immediately, they shot at the same time. This scene is a landscape that has never been seen before in the sea. Naval headquarters. The gathered power is too huge, soaring into the sky, directly into the clouds. Suddenly, the clouds rolled. Outside of naval headquarters, Kaido of the Beasts, Ant, etc., were all stunned. Now, such a force is heading towards Baragan. Ha 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 ha. Didn't I say it, just your strength. The black sickle in Baragan's hand was chopped out at the same time. Suddenly, he realized something and made a voice. The power gathered by the opponent is straight ahead, in the direction of 36 degrees. But why did he perceive it wrong? This black breath passed by that beam of light. Immediately, boom. Baragan was hit. Baragan knows that someone must be making a ghost. Suddenly, the smoke filled. At the same time, the black breath surged in. Whitebeard immediately moved forward. Let's not talk about whether there are Buddha Sengoku and others behind him, but there are definitely sons like Marco, Foil Vista, Diamond Joes, etc. Suddenly, in the Spirit Palace, the frantic voice resounded again. Promising for these sons. Daddy, ding, congratulations on getting the strange soul of Whitebeard. Close black lens bracket. Nothing. In this scene, everyone present had their eyes widened. Daddy. But at this time, ha 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 ha. Ace on the execution stage, seeing this scene, also roared, and the whole person screamed like crazy. Whitebeard's giant body collided with the black breath. Whitebeard's eyes gradually lost the look they should have. Everyone was silent. Whitebeard is willing to die. Whitebeard's body fell down, but it hadn't fallen to the ground, it was broken. The Phoenix Marco and others all yelled, with endless sadness in their voices. The old man's scarred body, now he is under such an offensive, what will happen to him, you can imagine. Chapter 164. Advertise here. Ha 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 ha. In the place where the smoke billowed, the wild laughter still came out unscrupulously. The eyes of Sengoku and others widened, and their eyes were filled with amazement. It was clearly visible that they did not expect the sacrifice of a generation of great heroes in the sea, Whitebeard. They didn't get their victory either. At this moment, the pitch black air enveloped the entire naval headquarters, as if the sun and the moon were gloomy and glowing with gloomy light. Shrouded the whole world. With the huge Reiatsu fluctuations, the smoke was finally blown away, but it seemed that there was nothing wrong with Baragan standing there. Looking at Baragan intact, Everyone on the scene, no matter who it is, was already terrified to the extreme at this moment. All the people who watched the live broadcast in this world are even more frightened. He is not a human, he is definitely not a human, there can be such a powerful person. What a terrible power fluctuation, you can feel it even through the screen, what kind of power does he possess? In front of such a strong man, we simply can't do anything. Quote. In addition to naval headquarters, the revolutionary Dorag could not help but pray silently in his heart at this moment, hoping that the naval forces and pirates or other people in the naval headquarters can combine to defeat this monster. The appearance of such a monster on the sea is a catastrophic disaster for any force. Baragan's power. Even Kaido, the beast who watched the live broadcast, his face sank at this moment. The three major disasters, the 6 volleys, and others are also silent. They know that their captain is very powerful, but compared with Baragan, they don't want to admit that Kaido can't compare to this existence. Perhaps because of the black air, Aokiji's ice that has sealed the naval headquarters seawater has already degraded, so Luffy and others are still outside the naval headquarters and cannot enter. It's worth talking about Blackbeard. At this moment, Blackbeard finally came here with some people from the 6th floor, leaning on one of them, which could be used as a pirate ship, and the speed was so fast, but after coming here, Blackbeard did not dare to move lightly. Blackbeard's body was full of black billowing aura, which looked exactly like Baragan, but the same black had different abilities. Blackbeard didn't seem to be Baragan's opponent either. Damn, Whitebeard is dead, and even the body is gone, what about my shock fruit? Thinking of this, Blackbeard gritted his teeth. In fact, he also admires Whitebeard very much, but he feels that Whitebeard is old and this big needs new people to rule. At that time, he was the best candidate with the power of dark fruit and shock fruit, but now. The appearance of Baragan completely dismissed Blackbeard's plan. Let's get out of here quickly, this is not what we should stay here. At this moment, Blackbeard gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, Baragan is too horrible, leave it to others to deal with. Since I'm here, where can I go? But Baragan still discovered Blackbeard's whereabouts. As Baragan's skull turned in one direction, the others at the scene also looked over, and finally saw Blackbeard hiding in hiding. Teach you fellow. Looking at Blackbeard, at this moment, the Phoenix and others of the Whitebeard pirates roared. Without Blackbeard, what happened today would not have happened. In the final analysis, everything it's all Blackbeard's fault. Without Blackbeard, the old man would not die today. What the hell does this guy want to do? The people behind him are not. Buddha Sengoku also looked over, and at a glance recognized the guys behind Blackbeard, most of them were criminals on the 6th level of Impel Down. Thinking that something happened on the 6th level of Impel Down, Buddha Sengoku's face is now even more worried. How bad this year is. Seireitei appeared. Now, Hueco Mundo, or something has appeared. Impel Down, it seems that it has also been ruined. Sengoku of Buddha feels as if he is powerless to revolving heaven. This Blackbeard has a deep heart, and this, Hueco Mundo, guy is very scary. Our situation is not very good. Garp also said to Sengoku of Buddha solemnly. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The situation today is too severe. My Excellency, we actually don't want to be your enemy. Blackbeard knew when and what to do, and now he lowered his head and said to Baragan. His appearance made Garp spurned by the presence. Baragan glanced at him, and suddenly Blackbeard in his eyes became Eisen. I thought it was weird just now. Quote. So you are not dead yet. Baragan spoke coldly to Blackbeard. Blackbeard. What? Not dead yet? Blackbeard was sure that when he met Baragan for the first time, there was absolutely no deep hatred before. But at the moment, go to hell, destroyed under my supreme power. Baragan shot. Death sighed. Blackbeard's eyes widened. What a joke was this, why this guy suddenly did it to himself. Dark water. On Blackbeard's palm, a black breath burned, like a black flame. The pirates behind Blackbeard also took action. They all know what the Hueco Mundo is in front of them, but Blackbeard can't beat it alone. One of the most noteworthy is Shiryu of Rain. At this moment, the famous sword in Shiryu of Rain is also slashed. However, Baragan is doing his best at the moment. I didn't kill Eisen just now, but now Eisen is out again. The Spirit King is watching here. What would the Spirit King think? Think he Baragan is an idiot. Don't deserve to dominate the Hueco Mundo. The breath of death, and the terrible black, flashed by, carrying the boundless and terrifying power. It collided with the power of Blackbeard and others. Click. Next moment, the power of Blackbeard and others, like the substance, was completely broken. The black breath, with teeth and claws, swallowed towards Blackbeard and others. Your Majesty the Spirit King, have you seen it? Everything today was originally planned. Everything was in his calculations, but he didn't expect the instability factor of Baragan to appear. This is my strength. His eyes were filled with fear, disbelief, and despair. Laughter is crazy. Baragan laughed. Becoming 7 warlords of the sea is nothing to him. At this moment, someone clapped and applauded, but seeing Eisen's figure, he walked out unscathed. He has no time to ask, and he is not qualified to ask anything, just like Rainy Shiryu and others, everything no longer exists. My dream. Ha 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 ha. Blackbeard's eyes widened. Hueco Mundo, what kind of existence are you? Papa Papa. His goal is definitely not just that simple. Chapter 165. Advertise here. Eisen appeared again. He, who had died, appeared before everyone again. Zephyr, Sengoku of Buddha, Marco of the Phoenix, etc., and even those who watched the live broadcast, were all stunned. Rejoice. Maybe those who saw Eisen appear should be happy, but when they noticed Eisen's dress at the moment, their pupils seemed to be dull. Now Eisen's clothes are undoubtedly belonging to Seireitei. Gotei 13's special costume, Death Tyrant costume, and a white robe. This is the captain's costume at all. Eisen's face still looked so gentle. But at this moment, he is called the Buddha of Sengoku and others do not know what to say for a while. It's you. At this moment, the angry Akainu seemed to have forgotten the existence of Baragan, pointing to Eisen and yelling. Above the Holy Land Mary Geoise, the guy who rescued Kurosaki Eisen is not someone else. It really is you. Originally I was only 80% sure, but now I can be 100% sure that it must be you. I've guessed it too. At the same time, Lieutenant General Crane spoke, and she slowly said, this world or something, and when the guy from Hueco Mundo just appeared, Eisen's attitude and expression changed. It clearly shows that he is not a simple existence, he is also Seireitei's. It's actually like this. Zephyr and others, pirates, etc., and Revolutionary Army and others watching the live broadcast, now the eyes are wide-eyed. Zephyr was even more difficult to recover, and shouted in disbelief, why are you the captain of Gotei 13 in Jinglingting? Facing Zephyr's anger and puzzlement, Eisen still said in a gentle tone, I am actually the captain of Gotei 13's 5th division. Now Hinamori Momo and others have come behind Eisen, and now they have changed back to what they used to be, one by one wearing Death Tyrant costumes with Zanpakuto on their waists. You guys from Soul Society. Baragan couldn't bear it. At this moment, he drank heavily, and then the black air rolled out, and he went towards Eisen. However, Eisen, you have Reiatsu all over you, under Reiatsu's protection. The black breath of death seemed to be unable to cause any harm to Eisen. Soul Society. At this moment, the pirate marine looked at each other. Eisen, tell me, what is Seireitei? At this time, Lieutenant General Crane, facing Eisen's back, asked. Of course, there was a trace of guessing in her tone. If you Gotei 13, if our world is called the present world, which is not the reason we guessed, then are you. Eisen nodded at this moment, and said softly, it can also be replaced by the 3 words human world. It turns out that the present world in the mouth of Gotei 13 is not the current world but the current human world. After hearing what Eisen said, everyone was even more stunned, so is the so-called Seireitei another world. Thinking of this, the Marines or pirates who were present all became silent. At this moment, it was not just them, even the other forces on the sea were stunned. This is a lie to us, it must be a lie to us, this is simply impossible. Yeah, it must be fake, how could there be such an outrageous thing? This is totally unreasonable. Human. Oh my god, why is it a joke, how can there be such a ridiculous thing? Quote. Too many people are unwilling to believe it. This kind of thing also makes them afraid to believe it. Ridiculous. It's too ridiculous. People can't believe it at all, they can't believe it. Naval Headquarters. The Buddha Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp and others kept their faces calm. Read more at mtlarchive.com. For old people like them, at this moment, they can change from Eisen's tone and attitude, and even Eisen's usual demeanor. One thing that Eisen said may be true. Thought of this. Sengoku of Buddha's eyes widened. Naval Headquarters has always been an opponent, isn't it the existence of this world? What is Seireitei? Buddha Sengoku and others continued to meditate. The guy from Gotei 13, calling himself Shinigami, could it be? No. Whether it's the well-informed Buddha Sengoku, the heroic Garp, or other so-and-so. This kind of thing overturned their original worldview. It's hard for them to believe. This is simply to overthrow the world in their eyes and start again. The world view is completely different. They were unacceptable for a while. Find flowers. Eisen of course also watched their reaction. He doesn't care at the moment. The indifference in the heart is completely different from the gentleness on the outside. Spirit King, between Baragan and I, who is the most suitable agent for Hueco Mundo? As the king there, can you see it? The Spirit Palace. Chen Tian has heard Eisen's voice. Ding, congratulations on getting 100,000 shock points from Dorag. Ding, congratulations on getting 100,000 horror points of Kaido. Ding, congratulations on getting. Ding, congratulations on unlocking Hogyoku. Close black lens bracket. Hogyoku. The corner of Chen Tian's mouth outlines a smile. To be honest, if Hogyoku is in the Eisen article, I am afraid that many people are yearning for it. However, after the 1,000 Years of Blood War chapter came out, many people were killed. Hogyoku and Ryūjin Jakka had a choice. More than 60% of the people chose Ryūjin Jakka. Hogyoku. Perhaps at this moment, Eisen will also pursue it. But for Chen Tian, it is nothing. The key is, Shinigami's strength increases, Chen Tian's strength increases, it is their sum. Eisen, Shu, Arankar, etc. are the same. In this case, Eisen is stronger. Chen Tian is also stronger. This is the authority of the Spirit King. The Buddha Sengoku waited on his forehead, sweating again and again. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. The same is true for everyone who watches the live broadcast. Eisen has already drawn out Zanpakuto, called the world view, completely shuffled. Chuan. In a person's body. What they saw was that Eisen was standing there now, facing Baragan. Eisen's gaze was gentle but contained perseverance, calmness, and steadfastness, as if it contained infinite might. Eisen, defeat Baragan, you have the power of agency and are qualified to command Haweko Mundo, but if you want Haweko Mundo to grow, you need Hogyoku. In addition to defeating Baragan, all you have to do is find Hogyoku. Naval headquarters. Why has the world changed so much? In fact, now, Haweko Mundo doesn't mean to come. Everyone is watching Eisen's figure. His knife, now out of its sheath, is still out of its sheath a long time ago. If Seireitei is not in this world, the people present didn't even know. But, can you beat Baragan? Chapter 166. Advertise here. Baragan looked at Eisen coldly now, and said in a gloomy voice, do you think you can be my opponent? Looking at Eisen's appearance, he didn't seem to be very tough in Shinigami, but he wanted to compete with himself. In Baragan's opinion, it was too stupid. But at the moment, a slight smile was drawn at the corner of Eisen's mouth. Quote. Seireitei and Haweko Mundo, if they are not in our world, then what are they? These two existences are really too mysterious, too scary, right? Look, now Eisen and that guy are starting to confront each other, and they haven't started to do anything yet, but I think the aura of these two people is so strong. Facing such an opponent, can I really defeat them? At this moment, Marine and the pirates were uneasy, and they didn't know what to say for a while. Of course, their hearts are still biased towards Eisen. Eisen's performance is very different from Baragan's performance. Eisen is like a righteous existence, and Baragan's horrible black spirit between his gestures and his madness his words, plus Baragan's defiant look at the end. No matter how you look at this Baragan, he is definitely not a good person. No, it should be wrong to call him by people. Hinamori Momo also said to the people here at this time. In fact, Seireitei also maintains a stable existence. Shinigami specializes in dealing with the existence of some unstable souls and helping them to bury their souls. Of course, in what you can understand, it is not an evil existence, it is different from the imaginary difference of Haweko Mundo. Seeing Hinamori Momo's kindness and her weak words made everyone present nod their heads. Especially the pirates of the Whitebeard pirate group, thinking of Eisen's performance just now, they all yelled. Maybe Seireitei is really righteous. Yes, although wanted by naval headquarters, who said that being wanted by the Marine Department must be an evil person. Yes, we are also pirates wanted by Marine. Those of us just yearn for freedom and have not done anything heinous. Quote. Phoenix Marco and other team captains nodded. As for the naval headquarters, the current Garp has never used his mind. He is now thinking, Sengoku, between us and Seireitei. The grievances of Goa seem to start from the Goa kingdom, but to be honest, in terms of the evil degree of the Goa kingdom, I think Seireitei is not wrong. It seems that we offended first, as if Seireitei was not. What a wicked, unforgivable person. The Buddha Sengoku stayed there now, and didn't know what to say for a while. Of course, many people in Marine died in the hands of Seireitei's Gotei 13, but I have to say that tracing the source, it seems that it really is. Their naval headquarters took the lead. Sengoku of the Buddha asked himself now, if he was not the marshal of naval headquarters. I'm afraid it's myself. They will also be wanted. Celestial dragons is rampant and world government's methods are used. Although Sengoku of the Buddha is the marshal of naval headquarters, he actually spurned it in his heart. Seireitei's Gotei 13, it turns out that this man named Eisen came out from there too. Looking at the live broadcast, Kaido grinned grimly. Hey, Kaido, believe it or not that Seireitei and Haweko Mundo are not in this world, but in another world. The ant asked rudely. But Kaido snorted and stopped talking. He has a calm face. Now he feels uncomfortable. He was very confident about his strength, and at this moment he seriously doubted what he was. The world of Earth. Those who have become Shinigami, are they really higher species, gods? Come on, Shinigami. Now Baragan snorted and didn't hesitate immediately. With a wave of his sickle, it suddenly became black, covering the sky and the sun. Then, this black breath rose into the sky, raging across the sky, and headed directly towards Eisen. Eisen looked at Baragan's hand, now it also moved. Of course Eisen knew that Baragan was great. However, Eisen knew he was better. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The self at the moment. In Gotei 13, how can it be the top 3? Right now, Eisen had rushed to Baragan. Zanpakuto sharply split the black breath. Baragan snorted. Destroy me. Baragan is always worried about one thing, and that is Eisen's old plan. I was killed by myself just now. But it still appeared. Seriously, if Eisen doesn't show up. Baragan doubted whether he would be able to discover his existence. Acts of death. But it didn't work. The Eisen in front of me didn't exist at all. When Baragan realized something, his back was cold, it was too late. Zanpakuto is down. Baragan's eyes widened. Baragan fled in embarrassment and left the world. Eisen watched this scene quietly, without saying much. Right now, who is more suitable to be the master of Haweko Mundo? Eisen should know the Spirit King now. In addition, Hogyoku. Eisen knew how much this thing helped him develop, Hoeko Mundo. You must get Hogyoku. Eisen makes a move, just like his peers. The members of the 5th Division, such as Hinamori Momo, screamed excitedly. I feel that my captain is really mature, stable, and strong. Right now, Zephyr couldn't help but walked up. Although Eisen is the Shinigami of Gotei 13, Zephyr also figured it out. In fact, Gotei 13, really speaking, is not evil. If it is really as Hinamori Momo said, is the status of Gotei 13 in the Soul Society equal to the Marine in this world? Eisen, we are still friends, right? Zephyr said with a smile. The Phoenix Marco waited and looked at Eisen. They also made a decision in their hearts. Whitebeard seemed to admire this man very much before he was alive. Then the future development of the Whitebeard pirates, should you ask Eisen to see if he has any pointers? What about? Eisen stood there, smiling, without speaking. It feels quite strange. At this time, in the Spirit Palace, it's time to declare the sovereignty of this world, who should listen to. Following Chen Tian's words, Yamamoto Genryūsai, as the captain, took the lead and said, whether it is Soul Society, Wonquan, or Hoeko Mundo, or this world, it belongs to your majesty the Spirit King. Chen Tian nodded. Captain, then you can send some Shinigami there and tell them about this. Yes, Yamamoto Genryūsai knows the real decisive battle, it's time to come. The supreme systems in this world will not allow them to suddenly become subordinates. Then it is bound to fight. Just, is it worth it? Chapter 167. Advertise here. In the opinion of the Shinigami of Gotei 13. The present world is simply a mess. Although Shinigami shouldn't be concerned about the reality of the system, but at this level, I am afraid that a lot of people will die. At this moment, Hoeko Mundo has also appeared. Those who died will undoubtedly become Hoeko Mundo. The combat power. With resentment and unwillingness to become a virtual existence, in this case, Shinigami can't ignore this matter. In addition, the Spirit Kings at this moment have already issued a word, and Shinigami should also act. Yamamoto Genryūsai is naturally respectful in front of the Spirit King in the Spirit King Palace, but facing the other Shinigami, he is not like that. Yamamoto Genryūsai, he has a face, he is not angry and prestigious, there doesn't seem to be any expression on his face. It is okay to say that he is kind, or that he is horrible. This person completely brings different feelings to different people. The captain of the 6th Division, the captain of the 10th Division, and the captain of the 11th Division, you should go to the world and talk to those people clearly. You should also know that even the world is under the rule of the Spirit King 18. Kind of. Stop messing around. After a pause, Yamamoto Genryūjai Shigekuni said, the Mao Spiritual Academy is now open, and it needs some good seedlings to join. There are a lot of good seedlings before Naval Headquarters Square, such as Ace and others, it is also time. Go and ask, what are their thoughts? Under Yamamoto Genryūsai's calm words, there was a trace of pressure hidden behind the 3 captains called Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, and Zaraki Kenpachi, who nodded immediately and agreed. Now the door to pass through has been opened. Zaraki Kenpachi, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Byakuya Kuchiki now led their Shinigami team through the gate and appeared in the square of Naval Headquarters. Their sudden appearance naturally attracted the attention of all people watching live broadcasts all over the world. It's terrible to see the scene on the other side of the gate. I saw the densely packed Shinigami. This is the first time I have seen the so-called crossing gate and the scene there. It really doesn't look like a product of this world. Shinigami. They are called Shinigami, but they are really Shinigami. Outside of Naval Headquarters, Dorag, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, is wondering if this is the end of the matter. It seems that nothing else will happen next, right? Of course, Naval Headquarters will also execute Ace, which is really uncertain. Similarly, outside of Naval Headquarters, Beast's pirates, aunts and others, who are in completely different directions from the Revolutionary Army, are now gnashing their teeth. It's time for a slice of the pie. But I didn't expect such a thing to happen at the scene. At this moment, many pirates' subordinates couldn't help but have an idea in their hearts. Should we run away? In front of Gotei 13, who can be sure to obtain the desired benefits and results? Beast Kaido, the ant also understands this, but they really don't want to leave like this. Finally came here, and then just left. This is too awkward. Now, Byakuya Kuchiki is waiting for Shinigami, and suddenly appears. Marine. Regarding pirates, they are all silent. Some even got tense to breathe. No one can say that Shinigami is here, what to do? Compared to other marines such as Shinigami, Sengoku of Buddha, and pirates such as Marco, etc., Eisen is still more pleasing to the eye and gentler. Byakuya Kuchiki stood up now. As one of the 4 great nobles, Shinigami, who has an excellent aristocratic demeanor, now he glances at everyone calmly, knowing that the live broadcast is happening at this moment. Most people in this world are watching here, Naval Headquarters. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Byakuya Kuchiki spoke directly, being gentle without losing arrogance, and said, we are Shinigami of Gotei 13. We are from the Soul Society, we guard the stability of the Soul Society, and of course, also guard the Spirit King. He is the Soul Society, Hoeko Mundo, this world, Wonquan, etc., the highest controllers of many worlds. Hearing what he said, everyone present glared at himself. Oh my god, what did he hear? The Spirit King is the supreme ruler. including this world. And many more. This so-called present world does not mean exactly. What came to mind? The complexion of Buddha Sengoku and others is very complicated and exciting. This is completely different from their perceptions, and the worldview is now shattered. What kind of joke is this? ... This is the Holy Land Mary Geoise. 5 elders, also watching the live broadcast. To know. The atmosphere was normal at first, but with Baragan's appearance, everything became weird. Baragan's toughness made the 5 elders feel uncomfortable. Next, Seireitei, what exactly is Hueco Mundo? After learning about it, the 5 elders looked at each other and thought it was fake. How could such a world still exist? Right now, 5 elders feel even more nonsense. Gotei 13, think they can deceive everyone. You know, the world's highest controller, but Lord Yim. How could it be a spiritual king? This is totally nonsense. I hope Sengoku and the others will not be deceived. A bit of a brain, I think this is unreasonable. What's wrong with Gotei 13, don't you want to fight with us, change it to a deception 400. This method, if used to deceive children, may succeed, but is this kind of thing possible? It's not just that the 5 elders don't believe it. Everyone in the world, watching this live broadcast, they also did not believe it. It's too ridiculous. This is not scientific at all. Naval Headquarters. Buddha Sengoku sank his face and said, this kind of thing, if you don't say it, it will become true. Not to mention Marine, the pirates also nodded, thinking that what Sengoku said made sense. In this world, who is the highest controller? This is not to rely on the mouth to say. Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Zaraki Kenpachi glanced at each other. Byakuya Kuchiki stood there quietly. Hitsugaya's mouth smiled handsomely. Sure enough, we still have to fight. Very good, isn't it? Zaraki Kenpachi said excitedly, grinning cruelly at the corners of his mouth. Then let's chop each other. And at the moment, Eisen suddenly looked in the direction of the execution platform. Everyone. They were all turned away by other things. So where is Hogyoku? Where will the Spirit King put Hogyoku? Eisen knew that he would pass the test of the Spirit King. Right now, Eisen walked up towards Ace. Chapter 168. Advertise here. The Buddha Sengoku and others, and even Garp, are now focusing on Byakuya Kuchiki and other Shinigami, and they have not noticed Eisen's actions. Although they are both Shinigami, they have to say that Eisen's impression of them is too high. In the minds of Buddha Sengoku and others, Eisen is the incarnation of a gentleman, completely a man who seems to have no shortcomings and gives people sunshine. Compared with the gentle existence of Eisen, Byakuya Kuchiki, Zaraki Kenpachi, and Hitsugaya Tōshirō, all 3 guys are completely afraid of Marine and the pirates. But at this moment, Zaraki Kenpachi discovered something. With a move, he came to Eisen and blocked Eisen's path. At this moment, Byakuya Kuchiki and Hitsugaya Tōshirō are standing on both sides of Eisen at the same time. Zaraki Kenpachi grinned and said, I have noticed your killing intent, even if you hide it well, I still find it now. Without the command of the captain, why did you come to this world? Please give me an explanation. Hitsugaya Tōshirō also said solemnly. His friend Hinamori Momo was almost in crisis because of this Eisen. Hitsugaya Tōshirō was right. Eisen can't like it. Byakuya Kuchiki did not speak, but his arrogant and serious expression had already said what he wanted to say in his heart, and Eisen had to give them an explanation anyway. Since Eisen has been unlocked, why not stay with them? Gotei 13. Is there any special task? Or did Eisen say something to His Majesty the Spirit King? You know, they are a whole and belong to Gotei 13. Eisen should give them an explanation no matter what. Eisen now speaks slowly, but his tone is completely different from before. Have you thought about it? Are you really going to block my way? Eisen's tone, intonation, sensuality and so on, all changed drastically from before. What changed at the same time was the feeling of sunshine he brought to people. At this moment, whether it is Shinigami or marine pirates, their eyes are on Eisen one by one. What is Eisen going to do? This guy has a deep heart, and is completely different from other Shinigami. Akainu was also preconceived, and said coldly, very sinister. After hearing this sentence, the face of Buddha Sengoku was quite ugly. Is Eisen really like this? Those marines and pirates who stood beside Eisen just now, seemed to be willing to help Eisen realize his ideas and ideals, their faces were very painful. Of course, Mori, the commander of the Western Army in the Revolutionary Army outside the naval headquarters, also had wide-eyed eyes at this time, and he murmured persistently, impossible, impossible, this is absolutely impossible. In the naval headquarters, Eisen looked at Akainu suddenly, and said, you are in the way. He knew what he wanted to do, and it was time to tell others. What are you saying? The opponent's tone of not putting himself in his eyes made Akainu furious. Heaven dog. Akainu's fist directly covers the terrifying, horrible lava burning with smoke. He punched it up, seeming to penetrate everything. But Akainu hadn't rushed to Eisen. Suddenly, a scary wound with deep bones appeared on Akainu's body, and blood spewed out instantly. Too fast. Quickly broke armament hockey, at the same time wounded the soul. Now Akainu's body slowly fell down, he was unable to fight anymore and collapsed to the ground. How come? Akainu fell down there in disbelief, he couldn't believe that the gap between himself and Eisen had actually reached such a point. How did Eisen make the move? He does not know. It's not just Akainu. Everyone present, everyone watching the live broadcast, is now dumbfounded. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Akainu's strength, above the sea, is naturally famous. It has the most lethal force among the three admiral. But now, such a powerful Akainu, in Aizen's hands, would actually be vulnerable. This kind of thing is simply unbelievable. Tell me, how could this be? Aokiji is also taking steps now. He has talked with Eisen and feels that Eisen is definitely a gentle person. Why is it suddenly like this now? So before, was it acting? Do not. This is absolutely impossible. How can a person act so real with kindness, gentleness, brightness, courage, friendship, etc.? But Aokiji only took one step. Suddenly, a Reiatsu suppression comes up. Boom. Aokiji's knee was suddenly crushed and hit the ground. Aokiji found that his body was suppressed by a terrifying force, making him unable to even stand up. The people on the sea are so stupid that they don't know what to say. Oh my god, Sakazuki and Kuzan, their power, called us pirates, we are all fearful, but now. Quote. This is completely impossible. Quote. Oh my god, could it be said, Shinigami, really Shinigami, and Seireitei really that kind of world? Eisen is now looking at Zaraki Kenpachi, Byakuya Kuchiki, and Hitsugaya Tōshirō who stopped him. Eisen didn't speak, and others are even more so. However, Marine, the pirates look very complicated. Just think Eisen played them. Among them, Sengoku, the Buddha, was also depressed and wanted to vomit blood. Mori outside naval headquarters wanted to cry even more. It's not just that. Dorag's complexion is also different from usual. To be honest, Dorag originally felt that if one day, he suffered misfortune, then he could lead the revolutionary army, without a doubt Eisen. But what about Eisen? Now it's done this kind of thing. I can't stop it. Eisen spoke. Now, Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, and Zaraki Kenpachi are all unbelievers. It's good. The three expressions are different. But the next moment, Eisen stretched out his hand towards Ace. He stood in front of Ace. Now, everyone who was watching the live broadcast, Kaido, Auntie, Dorag, etc., are staring. Sengoku of Buddha also shouted. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. In you, there is what I need. But it was too late. Garp yelled. Aizen's breath at the moment is too strong, and Reiatsu is too strong. So fast. Eisen in front of them disappeared. When I saw Eisen again, I found that he was already on the execution platform. The man named Huakwane stared wide-eyed, and under the power of Eisen, his expression was stunned. Called Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Zaraki Kenpachi's complexion changed drastically. Stop Joe for me. Only saw. What are you trying to do? Chapter 169. Advertise here. At this moment, Eisen stretched out his hand towards Ace, and under the majestic Reiatsu, Ace found it difficult for him to move. At last. Stop. Garp yelled. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Is this still the bright Eisen? Isn't it a different person? Some people who once wanted to follow Eisen were all staring at the moment, and the expressions in their eyes were full of sadness and sorrow. At this moment, do not. Eisen wrapped Reiatsu's hand and inserted it directly into Ace's body. Blood splattered. This hand was inserted into the soul at the same time. The look in Ace's eyes gradually began to disappear. Ace, Luffy, finally crawled in, hopefully trying to rescue Ace. Unexpectedly, the first time I saw the naval headquarters square, I saw my good brother Ace, who looked like Kai Lai. Ace finally fell alive. Luffy's eyes were blood red. Scenes from when I was young come to mind, and even more come to mind. Seeing my brother with my own eyes, leaving me, but I can't do anything. Think of it here. Luffy's conqueror's haki finally broke out completely. Then, this force rushed forward, but it was useless at all. Luffy finally couldn't stand Ace's death and fell straight down. Outside of naval headquarters, Dorage finally stood up. The eyes are firm. Do not. Sabo screamed too. Everything happened too suddenly. Just like that, Ace died. Sabo gritted his teeth and shouted, I want to go in naval headquarters. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Dorag nodded. If you don't go again, maybe something will happen to Luffy. Now Garp can't hold his fist clenched, and now Garp bursts out with a terrible aura. He wants to pass, but is stopped by Zaraki Kenpachi's arm. Eisen Sosuke, leave it to us. To be honest, what is Eisen doing? No one at the scene understood, but saw that Eisen had dug out a polygonal transparent crystal from Ace's body, which was spinning with a very mysterious power. Unfortunately it's only half. Eisen frowned, and quickly leaned against Hogyoku in his hand, feeling the breath of the other half of Hogyoku, and then looked in one direction, which was the direction of Mary Geoise, the Holy Land. Eisen knows that the test set by the Spirit King will not be so simple. Now Eisen also understands that he should also head towards the Holy Land Mary Geoise. 5 elders are the people behind 5 elders, Eisen will not let go. In the eyes. What the hell are you doing? Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Byakuya Kuchiki, and Zaraki Kenpachi at this moment, they once again appeared in front of Eisen. Eisen is standing there quietly now, his temperament has changed. At this moment, he seems to be more noble than Byakuya Kuchiki. Even if he is still wearing glasses at the moment, his breath is like a learned professor. Eisen faintly looked at Byakuya Kuchiki and the other 3 Shinigami captains. The plain expression in his eyes called Byakuya Kuchiki's complexion deep. Zaraki Kenpachi smiled excitedly, and Hitsugaya Tōshirō was naturally completely angry, which was like looking down on them. Whether it is Shinigami or humans, there is a fatal weakness, that is, being too arrogant and always reluctant to believe the facts. Eisen spoke indifferently. Suddenly, the Reiatsu on Eisen's body was like a mountain torrent bursting out. It was uncontrollable and burst out completely. With Eisen as the center, this terrifying force vibrated the whole earth. When I got up, the clouds above the sky were also surging crazily. Kaka. Naval headquarters, the ground that has just been built, now has a trace of cracks, and it seems that it is about to start to collapse again, and the same is true for the naval headquarters building. This kind of Reiatsu is unstoppable, and it can be called the sun and the moon. Even the faces of Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, and Zaraki Kenpachi in front of Eisen have changed drastically. Eisen is like this. You have to have this kind of power. To tell the truth, it is called Byakuya Kuchiki and Shinigami. I was shocked and didn't know what to say. To be honest, although he is also the captain of Gotei's 13th squad, in their opinion, Eisen doesn't seem to give people such a strong feeling. Come on, cut each other. But even if Zaraki Kenpachi faced such an opponent, as a fighting madman, he licked his tongue. Although he was aware of the power of Eisen, how powerful, but he did not have the slightest fear. All I want to do is fight. You have no chance to defeat me at all. Eisen smiled slightly from the side. In fact, his Kyoka Suigetsu ability had already been released. Byakuya Kuchiki and other Shinigami are the same, and they have been recruited without knowing it. You have concealed a lot about Kyoka Suigetsu's abilities. Byakuya Kuchiki also guessed something, and now said with trepidation. Eisen laughed irresponsibly. To defeat him now, the 3 of us need to work together. At this moment Byakuya Kuchiki spoke suddenly. Although he is aloft, as an aristocrat, he also understands that everything should be done according to his ability. Now Byakuya Kuchiki has to admit that if he singles out, he is not the opponent of Eisen in front of him. Spread it. Senbon Sakura. Garp clenched his fists. Ace was dead. He really saw Ace as his own grandson. I don't care if others believe it or not. Anyway, I believe it. Seireitei, it must be another world. Sit on the frosty sky, Hyōrinmaru. The 3 Shinigami captains are heading towards Eisen at the same time. They are all very fast. They are called naval headquarters. The marine on the square, the pirates, all know that they are not opponents at all. People all over the world who watched the live broadcast saw nothing and couldn't record it quickly. It was originally a battle between Marine and the pirates, but now. Naval headquarters. It's okay. Eisen is Gotei 13, the captain of the 5th division. In this case, the other 3 captains will join together. I think it can be. Zaraki Kenpachi slashed his sword at the same time. Such a battle on the top, whoever goes, can only become cannon fodder. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. But the words of Sengoku, the Buddha, can't be said at this point. Because of the Buddha, Sengoku saw a scene that is unforgettable in his life. Too awesome, too scary. Quote. At the same time, people all over the world didn't expect that the battle for the top would eventually become like this, which was beyond everyone's expectations. Who can think of it? People can't keep up at such a speed. Chapter 170. Advertise here. Now Zanpakuto of Byakuya Kuchiki has turned into blossoming flowers. On the other hand, Hitsugaya Tōshirō hacked out a series of ice bullets. The sword pressure of Zaraki Kenpachi also released an irresistible pressure at this time. The 3 forces, at this moment, completely bombarded in Eisen's direction. At the moment when these 3 attacks appeared, everyone just felt that no one could survive such an offensive, and everything would be turned into nothingness. And Eisen will definitely lose. However, the next scene stunned everyone present. When Eisen faced such an attack, his expression didn't show the slightest panic. Instead, he easily avoided the attacks of Zaraki Kenpachi, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, and Byakuya Kuchiki like walking in the courtyard. This was impossible in the eyes of everyone, but Eisen did it. See this scene. Everyone present was dumbfounded. At this time, they were already shocked to the point of indescribable. One by one looked at Eisen in disbelief. How could his strength be so powerful? You know, these 3 Shinigami of Soul Society are not simple existences. They once had a brilliant record that made the sea unforgettable. Together, these 3 Shinigami can completely turn the world upside down. However, nowadays, the 3 Shinigami of them have joined forces, but they have not been able to hurt Eisen, and there is nothing to do with Eisen. Eisen's strength is beyond the imagination of everyone present. Sengoku, the Buddha on the side, looked a bit decadent at this time, and didn't know what to say. Thinking of what he had just said, Sengoku of Buddha felt a pain in his face. Why? Why is this? How does Eisen have such strength? At this moment, the Buddha Sengoku, he was so shocked that he roared in his heart. As for the other marine generals and pirates, they didn't know what they should say now. After all, no one thought that things would develop to the present state. Those who watch the live broadcast are the same, all dumbfounded. The other side. Whether it was Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Zaraki Kenpachi, Byakuya Kuchiki, their moods at the moment seemed extremely heavy and irritable. Why are both the captains of the Shinigami team? Aizen's strength is so strong, but he is so weak. Why is this gap so big? In their perception, although Aizen's strength is good, he has never been mentioned before when discussing the strongest among the squad captains. For Aizen Sosuke, if only 2 squad captains work together, they feel that 100% is enough. Take an Aizen. However, they had no idea that their 3 squad captains teamed up to deal with Aizen, and there was no way to do this. Read more at mtlarchive.com. You guys don't seem to be so good. Just after Aizen's voice fell, I saw a large number of Kido texts spit out from his mouth. The Pride of Heaven, the Iron Wall, the Dragon Walk, the Lion Roar, the Tiger Roar, the Wolf Rush, cut off the world before it collapses. In an instant, Reiatsu on Eisen was agitated. In an instant, a senior Kido appeared in front of Eisen. The 81 of Bakudo splitting void. Aizen's strength is really too terrifying. Following the display of Aizen's Kido, a terrifying invisible barrier suddenly appeared in front of Eisen. Immediately after, this invisible barrier directly covers Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō and others. Although it is said that with Aizen's incomparably powerful Kido strength, there is no need to chant this advanced defense Kido, but Eisen still pays attention to Byakuya Kuchiki and others, opted for a full chanting method, and performed Bakudo's 81 splitting void this Kido. In fact, Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō and Zaraki Kenpachi are not weak. Eisen uses a special method to transform the defensive Kido of Bakudo number 81, splitting void into a restraint-type Kido, trapping Hitsugaya Tōshirō and others in it. Does it fail like this? Did the 3 Shinigami of Soul Society just lose out like this? Eisen is too strong, right? It's incredible. Everyone at the scene and all over the world, no one thought that the 3 Shinigami of Soul Society, who had the power to subvert the sea, were so vulnerable in front of Eisen that they were easily defeated by Eisen. Hitsugaya Tōshirō 3 Shinigami trapped by Eisen, at this time they knew that if they didn't work hard anymore, it would be wishful thinking to defeat Eisen. Find flowers. At this time, they had admitted from the bottom of their hearts that their strength was not as strong as Eisen. At this time, Hitsugaya Tōshirō and the others looked at each other, and they all displayed Bankai. Spread it, Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi. Byakuya Kuchiki roared, singing in his mouth. Immediately after, that is, I saw Byakuya Kuchiki completely let go of Zanpakuto in his hands, and Zanpakuto sank straight under the ground at this time, disappearing without a trace. At the same time, the ground began to produce ripples, and among the ripples was a huge blade rising up. There were thousands of these huge blades. Aizen's strength has reached the top 3 levels in Gotei 13, yet. Chew on. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Bankai was also displayed immediately. The 12 red lotus petals behind him released a wide range of cold air, forming an ice dragon, with huge ice wings extending from the knife-holding wrist, and ice crystals shaped like 3 huge petals on the back. Appearing, the formation of Ling Li's overwhelming cold air also moved in the direction of Eisen. But at this moment, the 3 Shinigami are also serious. Hitsugaya Tōshirō saw this scene. Boom. Suddenly. 0. The petals of Bankai are hundreds of millions of times more than Shikai. The bombardment was on Aizen's Kido. Next moment. As for Zaraki Kenpachi, he was standing aside and did not speak, did not do anything. In fact, at this time, he is not envious of Hitsugaya Tōshirō and Byakuya Kuchiki's Kido, because Zaraki Kenpachi feels that he has a strong body in his body. Power, but it is difficult for him to use it now. Then, the huge blades began to flutter and scatter, the number of which was far more than Shikai, and the number of scattered blades could reach hundreds of millions. In a flash, Aizen's Kido was directly broken. They don't believe it, isn't this Aizen's opponent yet? A huge strong wind blew up. Without any hesitation, Byakuya Kuchiki shouted angrily, and the huge blades flew all at once and swept across the sky in Aizen's direction. You can't see Senbon Sakura's blades at the moment of release. Byakuya Kuchiki has the ability to manipulate those blades carefree. Therefore, Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi is an offensive and defensive unit with 360 degrees without dead angles. Azimuth Attack. Chapter 171. Advertise here. But looking at Eisen today, he has been completely enveloped by the power of Daiguren Hyōrinmaru of Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi of Byakuya Kuchiki, and Zaraki Kenpachi. This scene greeted everyone's eyes, and many people could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Eisen was swallowed by such a terrible power, is it destroyed? Akainu's eyes were fixed on Aizen's position, and he secretly said to himself. He was still lying on the ground feebly, and in his opinion, Eisen would eventually be destroyed. Hitsugaya Tōshirō and others suddenly discovered something, and the expressions on their faces became extremely heavy. Just now Aizen's powerful strength impressed them too deeply. Facing the power of Bankai, it is impossible for Eisen to have no chance to dodge. However, when he was only talented, Eisen did not choose to dodge. Instead, he stood quietly on the spot. What does this show? Just when such thoughts came to the minds of Byakuya Kuchiki and others. Call out. In an instant, in the air on the side, an extremely sharp sword light flickered past. Under the whistling of this sword light, an unbelievable scene happened to everyone. Whether it was Byakuya Kuchiki, Zaraki Kenpachi, or Hitsugaya Tōshirō, all 3 of them had a sword mark that was not deep or shallow at this time. Drops of scarlet blood, which is the blood made by the spirit child, began to drip to the ground continuously. Fast speed. Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Byakuya Kuchiki, Zaraki Kenpachi, the expressions of the three of them all became solemn and pale. Aizen's speed is really too fast. This is something they did not expect. They didn't even see how Eisen did it. In such a short period of time, they left several sword marks on their bodies. Immediately after, with the sound of stepping, Aizen's figure slowly appeared in the sight of everyone. The power of Kyoka Suigetsu is not what you can imagine. Is the me you just attacked the real me? Aizen's indifferent and leisurely voice sounded. The most terrifying thing about Kyoka Suigetsu is that even if you know that you have been complete hypnosis, you still can't find any way to resist it. People can think of ants as dragons and swamps as beautiful gardens. This is the power of Soul Society's illusion system, Zanpakudo Kyoka Suigetsu. Of course, at the same time, it can also make it impossible to see the path of Aizen's attack and the speed of the shot, or even feel the power of Eisen, etc., completely control your senses one by one. Everything should be over. Eisen slowly raised Zanpakudo in his hand. In a flash, the space was once again caught in the manipulation of Kyoka Suigetsu. Read more at mtlarchive.com. However, everyone around did not notice it. Failed. Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, and Zaraki Kenpachi's three Shinigami pupils shrunk, showing fear on their faces, but at this time, they are no longer able to fight. Whether it's Marine or the pirates present, they don't know what to say at this time. In this battle on top, it seems that they are all losers. People from all over the world who watched the live broadcast looked at each other at this moment, and they all secretly said in their hearts, will the winner be Eisen? The beasts Kaido and Ant 4 emperors who watched the live broadcast did not know what to say. At this moment, they no longer have any ideas of snipes and clams, and the fisherman's prophet, because the strength between the two is very different, there is no winning side. However, it is at this time. The crossing gate appeared. The figure of Yamamoto Genryūsai appeared in the sight of everyone. Yamamoto Genryūsai can't stand it anymore. He walked out through the gate. When Byakuya Kuchiki and others saw the arrival of Yamamoto Genryūsai, their expressions were relieved. Yamamoto Genryūsai, he squinted his eyes and didn't seem to open them. But this is so, the terrible aura on his body, just a little bit, is enough to shock everyone. He is there. Byakuya Kuchiki and others believed that Eisen could not succeed. Yamamoto Genryūsai, for Seireitei, has an extraordinary meaning. Captain of Gotei 13th Division, founder of Yuanliu, and founder of Spiritual Arts Academy. He is known as the Soul Society's strongest Shinigami, and the highest commander of Gotei 13. The captain of Soul Society Gotei 13. The eyes under a pair of black framed glasses are bursting with incomparably sharp light. Looking at the black and white figure in front of him, Aizen's palm is like a flower in his hand, firmly grasping Zanpakudo Kyoka Suigetsu, who lives in his own, said, you are here. Eisen. Yamamoto Genryūsai's voice was so indifferent. His arrival made Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, and Zaraki Kenpachi all feel extremely safe. The robes of the Death Tyrant floated in the wind, and Yamamoto Genryūsai's eyes opened slightly. Those eyes, which were as deep as the starry sky, were so vast that people could describe them like this, and they were unforgettable after only one glance. At this time, Yamamoto Genryūsai held Ryūjin Jakka in his hand and looked at Eisen. The old man will not forgive anyone who neglects justice. As the voice fell, suddenly, the world changes. The Buddha Sengoku and others were stunned, only feeling suppressed by something. At the same time thinking of the three words for the captain just now, the complexion of Buddha Sengoku and others changed drastically. The record of Unohana Retsu is known to Sengoku of Buddha. I thought that among Shinigami, Unohana Retsu was the strongest. But now, this person is the captain, does it mean that he is the strongest among Shinigami? Following that, Yamamoto Genryūsai's voice fell, and in the sight of everyone, he did not hesitate to shoot directly, unleashing the powerful Reiatsu power that made one's heart palpitating. Boom. Suddenly, dozens of sky-reaching fire pillars rose up, and immediately detonated when they gathered together. Such a Reiatsu force suddenly exploded on Marine Plaza. The dazzling light illuminated the sky of the Marine Plaza. The devastating airflow directly turned all the surrounding buildings into dust. Reiatsu, suppress everything. But if you rely solely on Reiatsu to suppress Eisen, Yamamoto Genryūsai also knew that it was impossible. For Aizen's power, he was also surprised. However, Yamamoto Genryūsai, except for the Spirit King, does not put any other existence in his eyes. Yamamoto Genryūsai used Kido again to release the 96 of Hado, false one-sword cremation. This is not a real one-sword cremation. The power is much smaller, but it cannot be ignored. In an instant, a huge knife-like flame carrying destruction, slashed in the direction of Eisen, and when the majestic knife-like flames roared, it directly overturned the ground, forming a cloud of smoke. Chapter 172. Advertise here. Captain of Soul Society Gotei 13, this power is too terrifying. This power is too powerful. Following the action of Yamamoto Genryūsai, under this pseudo-sword cremation, a devastating glow and violent flames surged in this area of space. The strength of Yamamoto Genryūsai is so strong that some of the pirates standing on the periphery were not bombarded by this attack at all, but even so, they still turned into dust, and the marine soldiers naturally did the same. The Buddha Sengoku was also dumbfounded at this time, staring blankly at the terrifying power released by Yamamoto Genryūsai in front of him. Thinking of world government, naval headquarters wanted to be enemies with Gotei 13. Marine headquarters also wanted to defeat the whole Seireitei. Thinking of this, Sengoku of Buddha only felt how ignorant he and others were, how ridiculous, and just appeared. These Shinigami, can their marine headquarters be defeated? Is this really Kido? Whether it's Byakuya Kuchiki, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, or Zaraki Kenpachi, they looked at the Kido displayed by Yamamoto Genryūsai. They all opened their mouths madly, thinking that Kido is too powerful, and they are waiting for others. Compared with Kido, the difference between the light of the fireflies and the radiance of the bright moon. They have never seen such a terrible Kido. The place where Eisen stood before, at this time, turned into dust, and a bottomless pit appeared, and seawater spurted out of the god pit. Yamamoto Genryūsai stood there, the captain of Soul Society Gotei 13, now, like a savior, standing proudly, looking mighty, domineering, heroic and free and easy. Eisen is dead. Has Eisen been wiped out? Is Eisen really defeated like this? Not even the bones. Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Byakuya Kuchiki and others hurriedly looked around, while Sengoku and Garp, the still living Buddha, also released observation haki to search their surroundings. Of course, most people at the scene felt that Eisen should have turned into dust under the terrifying power attack of Yamamoto Genryūsai. However, at this moment, Yamamoto Genryūsai's voice rang. No, he wouldn't die so easily. With that, Yamamoto Genryūsai's voice fell. Abruptly. A Reiatsu suddenly started, covering the area where Yamamoto Genryūsai and others were located. The 81 of Bakudo splitting void. Immediately after. A huge barrier that can cut off any attacks in the world appeared in front of Yamamoto Genryūsai, forming a barrier completely cut off from the outside world. Afterwards, Eisen's figure appeared in everyone's sight once again. At this moment, his black-framed glasses had fallen off, and his eyes showed the domineering and fierceness that he didn't usually have. Facing Eisen's move, Yamamoto Genryūsai punched out directly, to the bone. Punch after punch. Boom boom boom. Read more at mtlarchive.com. It directly broke Eisen's barrier. Seeing this scene, Eisen nodded and slowly said, as expected, the captain of Soul Society Gotei 13. At the same time, the door to pass through is constantly being opened. Many Shinigami of Soul Society are here. Examples include Ichimaru Jin, Jashiro Yukitaki, and Tusen Kanami. They looked directly at Eisen, who was overbearing and full of madness at this time. Among them, Jashiro Yukitaki stood beside Yamamoto Genryūsai, and said in a deep voice, "It seems that you have betrayed Soul Society. Now you have been surrounded, give up resistance." Heard this, Eisen completely put aside his gentleman's demeanor. Now he seems to have dominated the entire battlefield. He looked at Soul Society's humanity with that lofty gaze. Don't be too self-righteous. Eisen, do you think you still have the possibility of winning under the current situation? At this time, Komamura Sajin had already drawn out his own Zanpakudo scourge, looking at Eisen who was not far away with complicated and solemn eyes. At this moment, everyone feels that Eisen is already surrounded. They all feel that Eisen can no longer reverse the current situation. Eisen has completely failed, and even thinks that Eisen will be completely defeated. Captain Eisen. Like the original Shinigami, a petite figure ran out. She was Hinamori Momo. At this time, Hinamori Momo's gentle cheeks were filled with a thick unbelievable color, and those clear and pure eyes flashed with disappointment. Have you really deceived me? Have you really betrayed Soul Society? Hinamori Momo is still the same as Shinigami's original work. This pure and simple girl does not believe that the kind and gentle Eisen who was once pretended to be. Eisen, the indifferent cheeks are no longer the private color of the sun. At this moment, his mouth is looking at Hinamori Momo with a cruel smile. It was you should be thankful that you didn't ruin my plan, otherwise if you do, I will kill you mercilessly. Captain Eisen. Hearing Eisen's words and looking at the domineering attitude all over his body, Hinamori Momo finally closed his eyes in disappointment. Captain Eisen, who was always gentle and kind in front of everyone, was completely dead in everyone's memory at this moment. At the same time, Marine, the pirates who once wanted to follow Eisen steadfastly started crying aloud. Their Eisen will never come back. Especially Zephyr. Eisen, you must give me a reasonable answer. Zephyr yelled at Eisen at this time. Zephyr, if you need an answer, then I can tell you now that a soft-hearted person is not worthy of being my friend. Soft-hearted. Hearing Eisen's words, everyone present did not speak. Although Zephyr was called the Black Wrist, Zephyr, he had fought countless pirates in his life, but he had never killed any enemy. It can be said that he is soft-hearted. At the next moment, Eisen said suddenly. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Zephyr was very angry when he heard this. His huge iron arm smasher, with the power to crush everything, launched an attack towards Eisen. Zephyr was dripping with blood and fell to the ground. Countless black rays of light intertwined. Suddenly, everyone watching the live broadcast all over the world saw Eisen's horror. Yamamoto Genryūsai's mighty voice fell, and his Zanpakudo was completely unsheathed. Anyone who has slackened justice can go. Suddenly, the terrifying black coffin appeared completely covering Zephyr. 90 of Hado, black coffin. And at this moment, Ripper everything. I gotta go. Then, surrounding everything, turning to ashes. The terrible flame began to burn in the space. Teacher. Ain yelled as he watched this scene. Chapter 173. Advertise here. The Shinigami finally saw Zanpakuto Shikai of Captain Yamamoto Genryūsai, and the terrible flames were burning everything, even the nothingness. Now there was a sizzle. The substances in the space, the existence invisible to the naked eye, were completely incinerated into nothingness by the burning flame. The scorching breath descended on the earth at this moment. In the naval headquarters, everyone was sweating for a while. Right now, outside the naval headquarters, the sea began to heat up, and then quickly began to bubble. This is Beast Kaido. Auntie and others have changed their complexions, but now they don't know what to say. Under such terrible power, who can do? Now, Yamamoto Genryūsai showed the power of his captain. This moment, Peach Rabbits behind Sengoku of Buddha realized that the strongest of Gotei 13 was not Unohana Retsu at all, but the old man in front of him. Zanpakuto is nothing more than Shikai. Does it possess such power? If it was Zanpakuto Bankai, so what will happen? Taotu and others really didn't dare to guess. Eisen. Yamamoto Genryūsai said lightly. Then he slashed up. Ryūjin Jakka, the flames are dense like the ocean. Facing this knife, Eisen snorted, using the power of Hogyoku in his hand. Ling Wang, this is the difficulty you set for me, isn't it? Got half of Hogyoku. The other half is in the Holy Land Mary Geoise. But Yamamoto Genryūsai has already appeared here. Hogyoku and Eisen's power are now resisting Yamamoto Genryūsai's Ryūjin Jakka after Shikai's slash. The flame passes. For a time, Eisen's face was pale. This knife is terrible. Now there was a raging fire all around, and no matter who it was, even Shinigami, his face turned pale. Even Shinigami, they rarely see the team leader take action, and now they are deeply afraid of the team leader's strength. At the same time, no one thought that Eisen would get something that could temporarily resist Ryūjin Jakka's cut. This is something unexpected for Shinigami. However, it can resist Ryūjin Jakka's one stroke, so it can resist Ryūjin Jakka's second cut. The third cut and the fourth cut. Captain, you should give up now, you can't be the opponent of the captain at all. The members of the 5th Division now made a begging voice, hoping that their captain could turn his head back and become the gentle one again. Eisen. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Otherwise, it will only perish here. In their view, there will be no existence. It can be the opponent of Captain Yamamoto Genryūsai. Under the terrible Ryūjin Jakka, everything will burn to ashes and cease to exist. Except for the Spirit King, no one stood in the sky from the beginning. Soul Society already has Yamamoto Genryūsai, what else can I do? Just now I have a word to tell you. In that endless terrible place of Hueco Mundo. The window period for the throne of heaven is about to end. The only trace of gentleness in Eisen's eyes disappeared completely. From today on, in the endless evil land, I will stand on top. The brown-haired man said coldly, while shaking his head, the hair in his hand changed to a domineering hairstyle, and the whole person floated get up and stand on top of the dome. His temperament is completely different from the previous one. People who are familiar with Eisen clearly understand one thing, that is, the former Eisen can never come back. But under the power of Ryūjin Jakka, why does Eisen have the courage to say such a thing? Thinking of something, Jashiro Yukitaki's face changed involuntarily. Hiraku Shunsui also moved, and immediately rushed up. However, they all failed, because negation appeared, but a hole suddenly opened in the sky. In the depths of the hole, something terrible was staring at the place, and then a yellow beam of light seemed to be an enchantment, covering Eisen's entire person. What is this? At this moment, the Revolutionary Army had also rushed into the naval headquarters, but the hot sea of fire in front of them made them afraid to approach, and then they stared at the sudden opening in the sky. It's not just the Revolutionary Army. The marine pirates were also dumbfounded now. Now the yellow beam that protects Eisen, something like a barrier, protects Eisen. Yamamoto Genryūsai did not make a second cut either. Garp thought of Ace's death, his fists gathered strength and slammed on it, but the beam of light did not move at all. It seemed that Garp's fist was like a baby and was useless. This is the ability used by Manos Grande of Hueco Mundo to rescue his companions. Yamamoto Genryūsai said lightly, as long as it is surrounded by that light, then within the light and outside the light, two mutual interactions are formed. Don't interfere in an absolutely isolated world. Of course, in Yamamoto Genryūsai, it seems that this is not a completely isolated world. As long as Ryūjin Jakka's Bankai appears, then this can be solved. However, Ryūjin Jakka's Bankai is really terrible, and the power of Ryūjin Jakka's Bankai has forever exceeded everyone's expectations. At the same time, how dare Eisen betray Gotei 13, where is his confidence? Could it be? I thought of something. Yamamoto Genryūsai squinted his eyes, but he didn't dare to think about it anymore. This was really disrespectful to the Spirit King. At this time, two figures were simultaneously shrouded by negation. What? Quote. The other Captain Shinigami watched this scene in astonishment. Ichimaru Jin and Tusen Kanami. Looking at them. The captain of the 7th Division, Shinigami. And Ichimaru Jin's friend, Matsumoto Rangaku, his eyes widened. How could this be? At last, they disappear. But looking at the black holes in the sky, the terrifying creatures revealed their true colors. That's where the hideous good heads are. That is the black Manos Grande with the white mask, Killian. It looks terrifying and terrifying. Such a monster is unfamiliar to people in pirate world. They have never seen such an existence. This is the creature of Hueco Mundo. It's terrible, right? Many people were exclaiming. Is the matter over? No. Yamamoto Genryūsai is now standing in the naval headquarters, not angered, and said, people in this world, don't you still recognize who is the highest controller in this world? What he said, called Sengoku of the Buddha to wait for a while and didn't know how to reply. They are not qualified. They dare not. The power of Ryūjin Jakka, horribly called the soul, seems to be completely burned out. Yamamoto Genryūsai now looked in the direction of Mary Geoise, the holy place, and said, then now, the old man will take a trip and solve this matter completely. Chapter 174. Advertise here. After Yamamoto Genryūsai's words fell, there was no sound, and he secretly asked if he was going to the Holy Land Mary Geoise. Thinking of this, the faces of Buddha Sengoku and others were not quite pretty, and no one thought that such a thing would happen. The shocking and terrifying power of Yamamoto Genryūsai made the Buddha Sengoku and others deeply understand that this is a great power that cannot belong to this world. This world will never have so many powers that surpass them. The flame will protect all the buildings from marine and completely turn them into ashes. This is just Shikai. If it is Bankai, then what will happen? Now the live broadcast is still going on, people all over the world are silent, all parts of the world are in a dead silence, and the power of Yamamoto Genryūsai shocks everyone. At the same time, several five elders of Mary Geoise, the Holy Land, were also watching the live broadcast. Now their brows were frowned, and in their expressions, there was no longer the demeanor of the past. Especially for the three five elders, they asked themselves that they weren't Yamamoto Genryūsai's opponents at all, and the gap was too big. He seems to be coming to our holy land Mary Geoise, what should we do? I don't know, are we going to give them complete control of the world? Give it to the so-called Spirit King. The so-called Spirit King, I don't know what is going on. If it is handed over, then what are we? I'm generally doesn't care about things, that is to say, only five elders enjoys the benefits of power, and once he enjoys the supremacy of power, he is deceived by this power and refuses to let it go anyway. Five elders, who look the most supreme with curling hair and beard, now also speaks in an uneasy tone, then we will make an agreement with the other party. We are willing to hand over all the resources they want in exchange for them to let us continue to take charge. This world. At this point, even if they don't recognize Gotei 13, it's just another world, and it's completely useless. They have now clearly realized one thing, Shinigami is really Shinigami. I thought that Seireitei was a product of 800 years of blank history, but who would have thought that the truth turned out to be like this? Five elders are something, how can they compare to Seireitei? Thinking that they once wanted to defeat Seireitei and eliminate Seireitei, now that I think of it, it's just like a joke. As the words of the curly hair five elders fell, the other five elders also nodded after looking at each other, thinking that what five elders said was quite good. At this moment, there was a clapping sound, the five elders looked over, and Eisen passed in front of them. However, the five elders glanced at each other. Is that applause just now my illusion? There is no one at all. That's right, I haven't seen anyone. It seems that it is Seireitei and Hueco Mundo, which shocked us too much, and caused us to have some mental illusions for a while. In this way, Eisen passed by them and headed towards Pangu City. They have sunk in Kyoka Suigetsu. What they can see is only what Eisen wants them to see. At this moment, Chen Tian in the Spirit Palace is also watching this scene. A steady stream of shock points are gathering. Now he looked at the world in front of him. Afterwards, we will seize control of the world, so what will happen then? The current Chen Tian asked the system. Ding, you are about to get a door fee. But the system does not say in detail what kind of door this is. In other words, the current shock points are not enough. You need to get more shock points to make things completely shock the world. Yamamoto Motoyanajisai Shigekuni. Chen Tian called this name now. Eisen hit the west, you thought he went to Hueco Mundo, but in fact, he turned to the holy place Mary Geoise. Yamamoto Genryūsai of Naval Headquarters nodded. What is the idea of the Spirit King? Read more at mtlarchive.com. Yamamoto Genryūsai knew that this was not something he should care about. Now, Yamamoto Genryūsai stepped out. Let's go. Follow the old man to the Holy Land Mary Geoise. Behind Yamamoto Genryūsai, the Shinigami captains, each with their own aura, nodded their heads. Sengoku of Buddha was shocked and didn't know what to say. All the people in the world who watched the live broadcast were even more stunned. Really, Yamamoto Genryūsai is going to the Holy Land Mary Geoise. Then, they dare not think about it anymore. But they all understood that the battle for the top had developed to the level it is now, and it was no longer the Marine, or the pirates, but the Revolutionary Army could control it. Today, it will have epic-making significance. A new era will appear. No, Akainu gritted his teeth and stood up. If a new era emerges, what kind of future will it become? Is it uncontrollable? Such a future is full of too many unknowns, right? Right now, Akainu charged towards Yamamoto Genryūsai. What are you doing? Jashiro Yukitake doesn't want to defeat anyone, but Yamamoto Genryūsai has a special meaning to him. Right now, he blocked Akainu's lava fist. This fist almost hit Yamamoto Genryūsai. And Yamamoto Genryūsai, who seemed confident and would not get hurt, stood there, squinting his eyes, not angry, and didn't even move. Hieraku Shunsui shot. Together with Jashiro Yukitake, Akainu was knocked down and flew out in one blow. Hey, stop making trouble. Akainu hit the ground hard and rubbed out. Aizen's injury, plus the current injury, made Akainu's painful face twisted, but he gritted his teeth. At this time, the phone worm in Sengoku's arms, Gruber, screamed. Sengoku of Buddha answered. Sengoku, stop them for a while, we are thinking of a way. The voice of 5 elders was not as arrogant as in the past. It seemed to be the same as that of discussion, and they discussed with the Buddha Sengoku. Sengoku of Buddha. He took a deep breath. I took a look at the outfit of Martial Marine on myself. He still opened his mouth and said, can you wait for a while? No, Yamamoto Genryūsai said lightly. Reiatsu roared out. This power. Suddenly, on the square, Marine, pirates, Revolutionary Army, and many people under Reiatsu, staring wide-eyed, it seems that their souls have been shocked, and they screamed one by one. Some weak people spurted blood and their chests shattered. Who wants to stop the old man's way? Yamamoto Genryūsai attaches great importance to the orders and instructions of the Spirit King. He is standing there now. This old man. It seems to be incarnate for gods and demons. Make everyone's minds blank. Right now. Who dares to block the way? Chapter 175. Advertise here. Rumbling. Yamamoto's terrifying Reiatsu is surging, sprinting everywhere in Yamamoto's body. His eyes narrowed slightly, his face was extremely cold, accompanied by this terrifying pressure slowly flowing out of his body, not only naval headquarters, but suddenly everyone on the Grand Line felt it. With the existence of this terrible force, the sea is surging, and the clouds in the sky are turning crazily. For a time, it seemed that the world was turned upside down. Oh my god, what is this terrible force? What a terrible sense of oppression, it's terrible. We are here in the new world. Could it be that the Gotei 13 captain's strength has spread from the naval headquarters on that side to here? How is this kind of thing possible? Many people on every island in New World are exclaiming. Even the Fishmen Island in the deep sea, now the face of Neptune is extremely pale, he is shaking in fear, and his soul is all there. Trembling, his teeth are trembling and rattling under the boundless pressure. At this moment, everyone is unbelievable that the power of Yamamoto Genryūsai will be so strong. Obviously it was from the naval headquarters that was so far away that it came here. Such power is enough to scare many pirates. I just feel that Yamamoto Genryūsai is like a god and demon, invincible. Kaido, the beast who loves death very much, is rare now with a look of fear on his face. The ant stood still on the pirate ship, motionless, she didn't even dare to say a word, she finally recovered, she also took a breath of air conditioning. The crew of their pirate group, even more so, face pale color. How many people in this sea want to fight for the reputation of One Piece, but at this moment, dreams, aspirations, and under such power, they only feel that the word One Piece seems too ridiculous. Consult carefully. I really can't. Since you said that Seireitei is not where the evil lies, then for the peace and stability of everyone in this world, we can sit down and discuss it. Sengoku, the Buddha, was shocked at this moment, and came back to his senses with difficulty, saying this to Yamamoto Genryūsai. The Buddha Sengoku knew that since he was still wearing Martial Marine's robe, he had to take the responsibility on his shoulders and be responsible to the world government. However, Yamamoto Genryūsai at this moment does not care what the Buddha Sengoku says. He snorted softly now. Just this moment, many people in naval headquarters shuddered in their hearts. This is the order of Lord Spirit King, you seem to want to defy. Yamamoto Genryūsai respects the Spirit King very much. As a result, his tone became cold and stern now. We don't want to defy the Spirit King or something. T-Dolphin also walked out now, and said with a look of fear, it's just to overthrow the world government and change the sun and the moon. This kind of thing can't be solved all at once. Take it slowly, otherwise. If you do, no one knows what will happen. For all the people on this sea, I hope you Gotei 13 can come to a seminar with us, can we discuss a solution together? Yamamoto Genryūsai disdained to speak. On Zaraki Kenpachi's shoulder, Kusajishi Yakiru was still sitting. Zaraki Kenpachi thought of something. His black hair danced like a demon, his eyes were entwined with silent murderous intent, and the corners of his mouth were slowly pursed with a mocking smile. For you Marine headquarters, we really have nothing to trust. It is ridiculous that you used to protect celestial dragons or something. Celestial dragons, pirates, Phoenix, Marco, Foil Vista and others. And the pirates who watched the live broadcast laughed mockingly. For naval headquarters to protect celestial dragons, in their opinion, it is really a ridiculous thing. As for celestial dragons, is such a thing worth protecting? Read more at mtlarchive.com. Naval headquarters, Dorag and others have arrived. When he heard these words, Dorag also nodded. Celestial dragons are the most disgusting thing in this world. And now, the Buddha of Sengoku, Garp and other Marines were speechless. Sengoku of Buddha just took a deep breath. So, what do you want to do to celestial dragons? Yamamoto Genryūsai did not finish. Zaraki Kenpachi said coldly, of course. The Buddha Sengoku and others understood what they wanted to do, and their pupils tightened for a while. It's messed up. In this case, everything is messed up. Akainu actually gritted his teeth, stood up again, and then shouted angrily, celestial dragons are the existence at the top of the order. If they can all be killed, there will be order or something afterwards, will it exist? At that time, it's all messed up, everything is. Find flowers. Huh. Zaraki Kenpachi shot. With a direct fist, carrying Reiatsu, he banged on Akainu's front door, and immediately, Akainu's mouth and nose splashed with blood. Under this terrible punch, Akainu flew upside down, and after spinning 365 degrees in the air, he fell directly to the ground. Sengoku of Buddha does not speak. Akainu is not fighting for celestial dragons, but for the justice that he clings to in his heart. To be correct, it is obsession. But in Marine, there are still many nobles. Order is very important. They are afraid of death. But even more afraid of not dying, but lost the privilege. In fact, nobles are not that bad, as long as they are well educated, I think they can be obedient. That's right, if you discuss it well, 5 elders will speak kindly and discuss with you a feasible way. 0. Zaraki Kenpachi didn't want to talk nonsense either, he slashed out with a sword, and a terrifying and ruthless power burst out. The sword was crushed and terrifying, and he went to the noble marines. Stop. Quote. The Buddha Sengoku yelled and he had to delay them. He didn't want to, but the word responsibility had already restrained Sengoku. Zaraki Kenpachi still grinned excitedly. Come on, chop each other. Chew on. Boom. Those people died immediately under the scorching heat of the sword, turning into fly ashes, but there was not even scum left. He rushed up, not for celestial dragons but for responsibility. Can't sorry the marshal's coat. But their offensive fell on Zaraki Kenpachi, but it seemed to have no effect. Zaraki Kenpachi grinned. As the captain, he was most eager to fight, and his grim smile made people feel chilly. Don't mess around. Everything happened too fast. Do not make jokes. Your so-called order is exactly the same as the dirtiest place in Rukongai. In that case, what is necessary for it to exist? Taotu, Aokiji, Kazaru, etc., are all moving now. This is for Sengoku to take care of himself on weekdays. Yamamoto Genryūsai stood quietly, squinting his eyes, making it impossible to see what he was thinking. Seeing this, Garp can only go up, can't watch Sengoku die. Not for celestial dragons, not for disorderly order, but for friendship.